Sleepy town settled for the night, where every lawn is tailored just right. And it's about time that the back porch light comes on. At that house down the street, at that house on Magnolia Street.
Where am I?
Oh my God, I look like George Washington.
Hold on. Where the fuck am I? Video.
You know how when you're in the pool when you're a kid and your hair's like back, like you do the whole like hair flip back thing? That's how my hair
Ooh,
just
that's
looks.
more Victorian. What's that called? What was that girl called?
Oh,
The
what was that
Dobson girl?
hairstyle? I forget.
Gibson girl?
Gibson girl.
Gibson
I
girl.
think that's it.
Good
We
morning.
talked about that on our Victorian episode, right?
There is so much information that just goes whoop
I
right
know.
through the ear holes.
I was listening back to our daguerreotype episode the other day.
Yes.
I'm losing my voice already.
It's nice. It's like sultry.
And I was like, I forget half of the shit that we talked about.
Uh-huh.
I gotta go back and listen to all our shit.
Feel so smart in the moment. Did you do anything for Beltane? I didn't.
I don't think so. I planted some flowers.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I wanted to do a bonfire. We never got around to it, and then it rained the next day. So
Oh, that's a bummer.
yeah, what'd you
Every
do?
Beltane's different. Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing.
No, it's just like been so freaking busy.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Just like getting the house back up to speed for, the nicer months, and like doing yard work, and like we haven't even power washed the house yet. We still gotta do that.
Yeah. And you got your chandelier project and you're working on
Yeah.
stuff inside too.
Yeah, I was cleaning my chandelier last weekend, and then I had other I was doing like a paint by number. I was doing some random. It was rainy half of last weekend, so I was trying to do some indoor projects.
Mm-hmm. This
But
May moon cycle is fucking killing everybody. You, me, Caitlin. I
yeah,
don't know what this Taurus cycle is doing, but my
I
body
told you.
hurts so bad.
I slept halfway through mine.
Uh-huh.
Just was
Yeah.
sleeping for 2 days. I was Rip Van Winkle for 2 days straight. I was like, Avi, if you want to eat, you should probably take care of yourself because I'm dead.
I showed Aaron the video of the guy. You were like, this is so Garen coded of him like spilling tea, but not having any details. And you're like eating granola and yogurt like a psycho. And I had just bought Aaron like a tub of yogurt for breakfast. And he was like, that is a breakfast food. Who has not had yogurt for breakfast? I said, it's not that it's not a breakfast food. It's just not the best breakfast food you could have.
It's not on my list of like what I go to in the morning. Of like, I would
Exactly.
much rather have a hash brown or something like,
This is true.
something you can sink your teeth into and like get all that salty goodness in the morning.
He was like, but it's like a power food. Like you get all those like all the good fats that you need. I was like, you know what else has fats? Bacon. Like I don't want to eat freaking yogurt.
Avocado. I like
Avocado.
avocado
Yeah.
with some
I don't,
salt and pepper on
I
some
don't want a
toast.
cold breakfast.
Yeah, same. It's so funny. I was like, yeah, this guy is like he's spilling the tea, but he's like the tea is like ice cold.
I
There's
have 100% had that interaction with him where it's like, okay, well, what happened? Well, I don't know. They kind of mentioned like
yeah.
cheating. Okay, so there was another person. What happened? Who did this? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't ask anything.
Right.
Oh my God,
Avi's
it's so
like,
painful.
and you've hung out with Avi before. He's the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
I
He's
told
like,
him because he asked.
yes,
Aaron was like, well, is Avi
he,
like that? I said, no. He
Avi's one
lives
of
for
the
the tea.
Avi's one of the girls.
Yes, he is. Love
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, it's so funny. We love our guys. But
hmm
anyway,
Hey,
hey,
which
Witch, hey, we got a lot to talk about today.
let's go. Hey, I'm Christina.
I'm Justina. Welcome to Magnolia Street, your one and only Practical Magic Fandom podcast.
Every week, we deep dive on different aspects of the movie and the books, as well as treat your ears to our very own Practical Magic inspired original music. Just do you typically throw spilled salt over your shoulder?
I
Yeah.
do. I have to. I think I have salt OCD. Like, you know how when people like with OCD, they leave their house like a million times. They make sure they lock the door like a million times because they feel like someone's gonna come for their family if they don't do that. That's me with salt. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's
oh my God, oh my God,
compulsory.
if I don't throw it over, everybody's gonna die
Same.
in like 2
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. It's like you don't have a choice. You don't have
Right.
a choice anymore. Yeah, I do as well. But why do we do that?
I don't know. We're gonna find that out today, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This week we're talking about salt. Isn't there an Angelina Jolie movie called Salt?
I've never seen it. She's like a spy.
I feel like that's every movie with her, though.
That's true.
She's always a spy.
She's a Gemini.
Yeah. But we're talking about salt and why? Because according to the Owens women and many others, always throw spilled salt over your left shoulder. But where did that come from? And why does something as ordinary as salt hold so much power in the world of magic?
From ancient offerings and protective barriers to kitchen spells and salt circles, this mineral has been used for thousands of years to cleanse, preserve, and protect. It's cheap, it's everywhere, and it's potent as hell. So grab your cauldron or your favorite salt cellar. Cellar?
What's a cellar?
Maybe like a pillar?
Oh,
I don't know. And let's talk about the sacred gift that ties the earthly to the divine.
yeah. But first, we have some business to tend to here. We got a lot
Uh-huh.
of listener feedback, and we have more Practical Magic 2 news. So let's start with our listener feedback. We got a DM over on our Insta from a Kira Jade, and Kira says, "Hey gorgeous Stinas, I just wanted to say thank you for your podcast and your personalities and being a positive little corner of the internet. I had major open surgery 4 days ago and have been in the worst pain I've ever experienced. Being able to just take my morphine, put on your podcast in my headphones and zone out in this busy hospital has helped me so much. Heart emoji. Having the distraction and the feeling of kinship has been a wholesome distraction and escape during this difficult time. Just know you're helping people through the worst times by just being yourselves."
Oh my
Thought
God.
emoji, heart emoji, moon emoji, send.
That is
That's
really sweet.
that is very sweet. That touched my heart because to know that we're helping people through difficult times, like that's all I could ever hope for, you know?
Oh, look, she's getting a little
I'm
emotional.
getting teary-eyed.
I never really thought like our podcast could tiptoe in that direction of like, yeah, we're talking to each other about something we love and other people love it, we get it. But I know I've had podcasts that I'm like, I just needed this escape and I didn't know that we would be that for other people. It's really nice.
That is really nice. We have quite a few people reach out to us when like they're in the hospitals or battling cancer or going through something really hard like that. And it's nice to give back to people who are going through such hard times. And if we could just be a little light in somebody's hard time, then that's all I could ever hope for.
Absolutely.
No.
Aw,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was really sweet, Kira. We wish you a speedy recovery.
Yes. Keep
And
us posted.
yeah, welcome to Magnolia Street.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. We do have a couple comments on our Spotify. I've been stalking the Spotify because that's been kind of popping lately.
Okay. Hit me.
Yeah. So 5 days ago, we got a comment on our Midnight Margarita song-isode from Doe, and Doe says, "Blocking off the summer solstice on my calendar begins planning a listening party." And Doe is referring to our first EP release,
That's right. That's right.
right? I still have to I have to figure out how I want to put this on the Instagram. I kind of
Yeah.
want to do another grid, you know how we did our album cover for the podcast
Reveal.
launch? Yeah.
Hmm.
So maybe reveal it slowly over the course of a week or something like that. So I gotta get on that promo. It's just it's so hard between running the podcast, going to work, keeping a house, and then also on top of that, I'm like, oh shit, we have an album release coming
Yeah,
up.
yeah. It'll be busy for now, but it's just temporary. We're gonna be
Yeah.
getting that music out to you. And then we have kind of a big gap between that and Practical Magic 2, where we can kind of get back in our normal groove, but it's gonna be very
Mm-hmm.
exciting to see everything come to life.
A big gap. That's Practical Magic 2 is not coming out till fall 2026.
Year and a half, right?
So not this fall, but the following. That is a long time. But
I'm kind of happy
it goes fast. Me too. Me too.
because I want to extend that little.
I know. I know. And that also gives us some time to get our own shit together and our ducks in a row. I mean, you never know. Hopefully
Are we
we
going to
could
talk about that at all in this episode? A little
about
later. The
which part,
more
which
Practical Magic 2 stuff. I'll
yeah.
save what I have to say for later.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the next comment we have a comment from Alex Clark. What's up? Alex Clark is a regular over on the Spotify comments. She leaves us little nuggets. I feel like every episode it's nice to hear from her. So Alex
Demons.
has to what'd you say?
Demons.
Yeah, Alex is our demons lover. She loves all the demons. I
He
mean,
could be the Wrangler. Like she's like demon goddess.
he's the demon wrangler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Alex Clark commented a couple days ago. She said, "Hey witches, yes, I do live in England. I live in a small village in Cambridgeshire, complete with a thatched pub, but no shop. The next village to mine is called War Boys." And she put in parentheses literally War Boys, which saw 3 people accused and then hung for witchcraft. There are many oddly pronounced places over here, not least Indian Queen St. Column Major down in Cornwall, so more than happy to be a sounding board for them. By the way, I'm still shouting Daemons, and everyone loves me the more for it, as you can imagine.
That is a long ass village name, parish
Yeah,
name,
I
town
would
name,
never
whatever. Oh my
remember
God.
that. My short-term memory could never. I couldn't even remember what I was just saying just now, so
Great.
Anyway, so and then finally on our Spotify we have a comment from Lindsay H, and Lindsay says, "I just saw on Facebook page Practical Magic a release date of September 18th, 2026. Does anybody know if this is true?" So okay, so I saw this comment come in my phone notifications as I was waking up from a mid-morning nap because I had an early doctor's appointment that morning. So I came home and I was like, I passed the fuck back out on the couch. I woke up to that comment, and then I got a text from Mallory with the following article regarding Practical Magic 2.
Our group
It's been,
messaging was going
oh
off.
my God, my phone. What I woke up to, I was like, I was not expecting to wake up to that
Ping, ping,
this
ping,
morning.
ping, ping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have not had any news basically since the last, well, there were a couple little articles that came
Things like
out
the
since,
director and yeah.
yeah, like who, yeah, the directors who's attached and all that stuff. But listen, we got a release date.
We do
We
have
got
a
a
release
release
date.
date. Okay, so a new article popped up on variety.com and a couple other news outlets, but that's the one that Mallory sent us. I think she sent us two, but that's the first one that I opened. So that's the one that I reposted to our Instagram. And that was published on May 6th, the day that Mallory sent it over at 9:09 a.m. And that was written by Rebecca Rubin on variety.com. So this article says, are you ready for this? Practical Magic 2, a follow up to the 1998 fantasy comedy, will cast a theatrical spell next fall. The witchy sequel, starring Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman, is set to debut on September 18th, 2026. Just in time for Samhain, Bullock and Kidman are reprising their roles as sisters Sally and Gillian Owens, who descend from a long line of witches. In the original movie, based on the novel by Alice Hoffman, they find themselves fighting off a curse that kills the men they fall in love with. It's unclear where the second film will pick up, though the story is reportedly based on a later installment in Hoffman's Practical Magic book series. Warner Brothers released a short, text-only teaser with a voiceover from Bullock and Kidman, who chant the following incantation: Tooth of Wolf and Morning Dew, something old and something new. Let the spell begin to mix. September 18th, 2026. On its current release date, Practical Magic 2 will hit the big screen on the same day as Zack Krager's Resident Evil reboot from Sony. Who the fuck cares? We don't care
There's
about
like
Resident Evil.
30 reboots of Resident Evil.
Who cares? Nobody's thinking about Resident Evil. This is Practical Magic 2, people.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
I thought it said Tooth of Wolf and Mountain Dew for a second. I heard the clip, but
Tooth
Mountain
of
Dew.
Wolf and Baja Blast. We
Yeah.
get a Practical Magic film at
From
last.
at last.
I'm a songwriter.
You are.
Yeah, so Practical Magic received mixed reviews and flopped at the box office, but the supernatural story became a cult favorite in subsequent years. Warner Brothers tried to expand the Practical Magic property in 2019 with the prequel series Rules of Magic, but the HBO series was scrapped and never came to fruition.
We learned why.
Yes, Alice did tell us why. But listen, everything happens for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was because I feel like it would pack more punch because like waiting for it to be done right
Yes, with the original people,
with the original cast.
a little
Yes,
more
exactly.
money behind it, maybe.
Right. Yeah. A major motion picture will definitely have more of a budget than an HBO miniseries, you know?
But we'll get to it. But all the now quote unquote producers who weren't producers in the past with the first movie who are now,
Yeah.
it's kind of cool seeing all those people sign back on.
Definitely. So this article goes on to say Susan Beer is directing Practical Magic 2 from a screenplay by Akiva Goldsman, we know that name, right? Who co-wrote the first movie. Though the production timeline is hazy, Kidman told Variety in February that the sequel is moving ahead rapidly. Bullock and Kidman, who each have collected Oscar statues in the decades following Practical Magic, will produce the sequel alongside the original film's producer Denise Denovi. So that's the end of that article. So I rushed over to our IG after I read that to hurry up and repost that to our feed and our stories, and let me tell you the dust that this kicked up. All of our followers were coming out of the woodwork to comment on that post, and we got a ton of reposts on it, and so many listeners weighing in with their excitement and their feedback, and it was just so much fun trying to keep up with all those comments. It was like bananas. It was like when the first announcement came out last
Mhm.
June. Maybe
Yeah.
not as crazy, but like still like people were like very
I
excited.
may or may not have run off to the woods. I was like, I can't
Again,
take this.
again, yeah.
Just got all of you taken care of, though.
Yeah, so Alice even sent us the link via Instagram DM to the trailer that the WB posted. So that was nice that Alice had thought of us to send us
Yeah.
that,
Uh-huh.
right? So can we just fangirl about this trailer real quick? I want to watch this together.
Yeah. Okay, let's
Okay.
do that.
Tooth of wolf and morning dew. Something old and something new. Let the spell begin to mix. September 18th, 2026.
And then they threw that little thing in there.
I got chills.
They threw that in there. They know what they're doing.
Full body chills.
At
I'm
first, I
going for
couldn't
that.
tell it was Nicole Kidman speaking, but I could tell Sandra right away. And
Yeah.
then continuing to listen, I watched it 5 or 6 times. I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Was it you that said that said this? Somebody said this. I can't remember who.
About her accent?
Well, they were like, is that voice, did they regenerate those voices with AI?
Oh,
Or
that
is that
I did say that. I was like, I'm gonna be so mad if this is like not real and they're like
yeah.
fucking with us again.
Well, I don't think they're fucking with us. They wouldn't put a date out there if it was
I
real. And it's
know.
coming from the WB. It's official. But I'm like saying, like, actors are busy and we have AI capability now. They don't have to use the actor anymore. Like,
Right.
is this an AI voice or is this actually Nicole and Sandra saying this?
Right. We don't know, but I would say it is them just because they are producing. It's near and dear to Sandra's heart. I mean, she's tried in the past to do spin-offs of it and she's helped produce it in the past. So I'm
Right.
thinking they sat down and took 30 minutes to sit behind their blue Yetis
Yeah,
and
they use the
record
same microphones as us.
this.
$60 off Amazon.com, right? Major motion picture budget right there.
Hmm.
So I wanted to speculate on this trailer, this teaser that they released, and the what they say in it. So they say Tooth of Wolf and Morning Dew. Are these clues?
Like
What does this
wolf, like
mean?
in keeper?
That's what I was thinking. Like, okay, so do we think this small little phrase holds any meaning, or were they just trying to come up with a cute rhyme? Like, morning dew is mentioned in Magic Lessons on This Is Maria's Story on page 271. In the lyrics, it's a song, it's like a song excerpt, okay? And the lyrics to The Water is Wide, a song that Maria had sung to her daughter Faith. And the lyrics read, "The water is wide, I cannot get over it, and neither have I wings to fly. Give me a boat that will carry two, and I shall row, my love and I. Love is handsome, and love is fine, and love's a jewel while it is new. But when it's old, and groweth cold, and fades away like morning dew," there's the morning dew. So, do we think we'll get any Maria and Faith backstory? And do we think this Water is Wide song will be a part of the storyline?
I think we're gonna get Maria's backstory. We might have Faith, but I don't think they're gonna put Faith as like an older kid. I,
Right.
I feel like it'll be baby Faith and her like Maria trying to like make it on her own.
Yeah, if they do any sort of flashback, I'd probably do like a quick little recap of like what Maria went through and like maybe
Yeah.
add some elements in there.
Hmm.
And then also let's look at the line Tooth of Wolf. If we think back to Magic Lessons, Maria and Faith's story, the wolf is a huge part of the story. Like you said, Keeper is the wolf that Maria and Faith taken as a pup, and this is basically Faith's familiar throughout that entirety of that book.
Also, if you want to like stretch the wolf concept, doesn't Vincent also have a dog? Like
Yeah, he did.
a dog
Yeah.
pet that's very
Yes.
wolf-like?
Right.
Oh
So
God.
I don't know, yeah. So those two lines in the beginning of that teaser trailer, they're giving me Magic Lessons energy, despite the news reports earlier this summer saying that the film sequel will be following the last book, The Book of Magic, more closely. But who knows, maybe they'll be focusing more on the final book's plot, but then make use of flashbacks from both Magic Lessons, Maria's origin story, and Rules of Magic, Franny Jet and Vincent's coming of age story to round out the film and tying all the loose ends together from all four books.
Part of me hopes maybe not. Because
Yeah.
that would be so cool that if they had their own like really well done full-length features or
Yeah.
shows.
I
Like it'd be
agree.
cool to have it wrapped in a nice little bow, but
Right.
I'm always gonna want more, you know? I want
I know. I know. And I've said this before, Magic Lessons, Maria's origin story, reminds me so much of Outlander. I could almost see Magic Lessons being its own mini series, Maria's whole origin story.
there is so much. Alice has given us endless content.
I know.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah,
really.
but one other piece of exciting news regarding Practical Magic we got a tip from our friend Mallory, and over on the IMDb page now lists Griffin Dunn as the executive producer on the film. I can't. Even though he's not the director this time around, he still has his hands in the project, so that's really exciting. So thank you, Mallory, for filling us in on that. She sent us a screen recording because she has IMDb Pro, and I texted Jess. I was like, "Can we share this? Because if it was on my phone and I was paying for Pro, I would share it." And you were like, "I don't know if this is just Pro or if it's public." But then you went and looked, and it is public. Executive producer. The other ones just said producers, didn't they?
Yeah, like Sandy and Nicole.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
Mallory sent us a Marco Polo message. I think she said the executive producer typically, I think they help generate the funds or the budget. Really not sure exactly, but I mean, we talked to Becky Hartman Edwards. She's an executive producer. So we kind of got a little bit of a feel of like what she does. But she also is a writer, so I don't know. Like Griffin Dunn, he probably doesn't have his hands in the writing. But I mean, you never
Creative
know,
changes, at least the first
right?
time around as a director. Aaron was actually asking about this,
Yeah.
and I harkened back to because I told him, I was like, oh my God, Griffin Dunn signed on to produce. And we were talking back and forth, like, what happens first? Is it the producer? Is it the director? I'm like, well, you probably need the funds first. You need a budget to then sign on a director. And
Right.
but it doesn't seem that way in this because they had the director. Well, I guess Sandy and Nicole were producing first, and then they're just
Yeah.
kind of getting more producers to sign on, more money behind this project. The
Right.
other thing I wanted to tell you, he said, was we showered together. We were showering and I was talking, I
Oh.
was all excited. I was like, they have a date, we have a date. And
Yeah.
he's like, you're going to the premiere, right? I was like, and he's not one to like think in that like wish mentality. The fact he said that, I was like, I would love that. They wouldn't even have to like all expense paid. If we got an invitation, which I don't know how that works. Like, do you need to
Yeah.
be invited to a premiere? Can you
I have
just
no.
go? Do the
I mean,
actors all go?
I think like we've seen premieres on like, televised or,
Mm-hmm.
pictures of it in magazines like, oh, this person on the red carpet for this premiere.
Yay.
And you always see fans waiting outside and like
Right.
I'm sure you can go to the premiere and wait outside just to catch a glimpse of the celebrities, but as
Mhm.
far as like sitting in the theater, I'm pretty sure you probably would have to be invited to that.
I think so too. Right, right. He
Yeah.
was like, where would they hold this? I was like, Hollywood? I have no idea. See, this is when he has all the questions. I'm like, why don't you ask this when I'm asking you for the tea? So he was just asking, inquiring, like, what does that mean for us? I have no
Yeah. He wants the answers. He doesn't have the answers.
idea. Yeah, he's an
Right. Yeah.
Aries.
Oh, yeah. So hopefully, I don't
Anyway.
know, maybe who knows? I mean, we do have like a year and a half to try to sneak in the back door somehow.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
You know?
so down. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
excited.
So
I'm excited. But are we ready to get into salt?
yeah, there's a lot
There's a lot
here.
of salt. We'll try
I
to
want
break this up with breaks, and I know Spotify does the automatic chapters, so feel free to
yeah.
use those.
Yes, yes. But we're gonna get right into the books. Just a reminder to always throw spilt salt over your left shoulder. That's a simple phrase, passed down like a family recipe, or a warning. In practical magic, salt is more than a kitchen staple. It's a line drawn in the sand between worlds, a circle of protection, a symbol of wisdom, inheritance, and the quiet, powerful magic of everyday things.
Whether it's sprinkled in a circle to banish evil spirits, stirred into a midnight margarita, or laced through a sacred brownie, salt shows up again and again in the Owens women's world, binding the physical to the spiritual, the domestic to the divine.
And in today's episode, we're diving deep into the symbolism of salt in practical magic, from folklore to film, from superstition to sacred ritual. And why is salt so powerful? And what does it mean to be the salt of the earth in a story full of witches, curses, and love spells gone wrong?
So grab your cauldron or your cocktail glass and join us as we stir the pot. Throw a little salt over your left shoulder and explore the elemental essence of salt in the world of practical magic.
Yeah. So here we go. We're going to dive right. I said we're going to dive into the books before. We're going to dive into the movie first.
Okay.
Yeah. It may only make a brief appearance in practical magic, most memorably during the Midnight Margarita scene, right? But its presence is felt throughout the entire film in a more quiet, symbolic way. In multiple quiet or symbolic ways. From whispered superstitions to Sally's iconic final lines of the film, salt threads itself through the story like an invisible line of protection, preservation, and ancestral wisdom. It's subtle, yes, but powerful, woven into the very fabric of the Owens women's lives, even when we don't see it like on the screen in physical form anyway. So here are some of the ways that salt shows up in the film, not just the more obvious instances, but also the more subtle ways that it does. So firstly, I think the most common, I guess, what do you say? Would you say theme or overarching thread that runs through the entirety of the film? Saltwater, right? Saltwater is present in the form of the ocean, which is a place of surrender, intuition, inevitability. We see the ocean from the very start of the film during Maria's origin scenes. And in the film, she breaks free from the rope on the gallows through what is implied to be practical magic or pure magic, right? However, when Alice wrote Maria's origin stories, 2 decades later, we come to find that Maria's life was in fact saved by Samuel Diaz. Didn't he replace the rope on the gallows with one that had been decaying and eaten through by the salt of the ocean?
Yeah. That was such a goosebump moment reading that. I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, she put it in.
Right. Yeah. So now we know like how Maria actually survived the gallows. Which is kind of like disappointing. Like it wasn't practical magic anymore. It was like actually like, okay, he switched the rope out.
It was love.
It was love. Exactly. So that was a little like, okay. But anyway, going back to the salt of the ocean, Maria's island is surrounded by water, and the Owens mansion sits on a bluff with ocean views for days. Those views, right? And the sea is pretty much the backdrop for all of the scenes on Maria's island. And you can almost taste and smell the salty sea air when watching the whole movie. Yeah. Do you have anything to add to the water and the salt?
I just know that salt can deteriorate a house so quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's hard to get insurance on a beachfront property because it's just gonna get into everything. Just like the sand. Do you remember that story we were talking about Martha's Vineyard and the sand
Uh-huh.
coming through the house? That's what I think of. Just
Right.
just messy.
Just the more practical aspect of salts and this, if like living by an ocean or a seafront property, it's probably, I wonder how much maintenance they have to do to upkeep and keep the salt from eating away at their foundations, you know?
Precisely. Yes, but yeah, on Whidbey Island, right? This is Coopville, so they're used to it and they have this scenery every day. And I know probably you had this experience living out in LA and when I was in San Diego. We take the ocean for granted. It's just kind of there. You know you're going north if the ocean's on your left. You know, this scene and this house and them choosing this bluff after 3 failed attempts, I think before, this was a perfect setup. And I'm glad that they chose like seaside backdrop for the whole movie. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I do love it. And it's just like, it's in the air. It's like, even if your house is like sitting above, like on a bluff and safe from any wave damage,
Mhm,
right? Or possible tsunami,
Yeah.
because that's where my fucking fucked up mind goes.
Yeah.
I mean, your house is still affected because this salt is like in the air,
Yes.
you know?
Precisely.
So it's literally everywhere. The next theme in the film is the salt and the midnight margaritas. We talked about this one on our recent Earth Element episode, and about how the aunt's vices, like the overindulgence in chocolate, and the midnight margaritas, like the salt in the midnight margaritas, it probably actually has nothing to do with them just overindulging for the sake of overindulging. There may actually be more intention behind these little vices that they have. Just like the brownies they indulge in for breakfast, they use the salt in their margaritas for grounding and protection. And on our Earth episode, we talked about how both the chocolate and salt have their own grounding and protective properties, right? And it's kind of like a tethers whoever is eating it, or drinking the margarita with the salt. It's tethering whoever is doing that to the earth and having them come back down to reality, so to speak. And if you think about it, it's almost like they're bookending their days with these little grounding rituals. They wake up, they eat their grounding brownies for breakfast to bring them back to reality after spending all night in dreamland, maybe even astral projecting, if we know Jilly has those tendencies. And then they go about their day, they do their little witchy things, and then they nightcap with some midnight margaritas with some extra salt on the rim to ground before they hit that pillow and re-enter dreamland again.
A lot of sodium.
It is a lot of salt. So that salt probably acts like a tether and spiritually protects them as they navigate their dream state, when they're not of this waking, walking life. So I thought that was cool how they bookend their days with those salts ritual, right?
That's how I would do it.
Right.
Fuck yogurt.
Fuck yogurt. Yeah, give me a hash brown, please.
Right.
So drinking alcohol and being under the influence of any substance leaves you vulnerable to spiritual entities. So of course they would pick a drink that involves salt. And this provides them again with that grounding and protection whilst getting their buzz on. So let's look at the midnight margarita scene and how these midnight margaritas, they do this a lot, right? This is not their first rodeo. The way that's Sally and Jillian react when they hear the blender going downstairs. They're like, oh, midnight margaritas, it's happening.
Something they look forward to.
Something they look forward to, maybe even every weekend. We don't know what the schedule of these is, but let's take a look at that scene as a ritual disguised as a party. This scene may look carefree, chaotic, tequila-fueled celebration. It has all the hallmarks of a ritual, though. A specific time, midnight, a circle of women, shared words, song, rhyme, laughter, right? They're singing and dancing around that kitchen, and yes, of course, the salted rims. The salt here serves as a threshold, marking a transition between the ordinary and the mystical. Once the margaritas are poured, the mood shifts. Playfulness turns into chaos first, right? But then it turns into psychic disturbance. The energy is raised, and then it breaks when the broom falls, and the girls outright lie to the aunts, who then leave the girls to clean up their mess.
They are literally doing like a circle of energy and driving all of that energy up, right? And if you've ever been in like a group dance or a drum circle, like how powerful that is. And usually sober, but can you imagine doing it with fucking tequila?
Tequila, oh my god, that's like that's going pretty hard.
Yeah.
So
Can't wait
yeah,
to do it with you.
I wish we lived closer. And like next time, it'll be good tequila, not that powder stuff.
I feel like if we used clear tequila, it might have been better because it was not. It was like the gold stuff.
It tasted like cough syrup. So the aunts leave the girls to clean up their own mess, literally with the broom that falls. The aunts say company's coming, but really, like, the broom falls because they're like, all right, well, there's the broom. You can go clean up your own mess now.
Mm-hmm.
And in this scene, the salt's protective and warding properties are disrupted. Salt traditionally protects, but here it's banalization into party culture, ironically, and it opens the doors for intrusion. As they consume salt and alcohol together, they unintentionally lower their guard. Because the salt on its own is protective, but when you include the alcohol and being under the influence of that alcohol, that leaves you in kind of a vulnerable state to the spiritual dimension. And that's when Jimmy's spirit begins to stir. And as if the salt wasn't enough, or maybe it was misused, it suggests that intention is everything in magic. Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to add about the salt in the midnight margarita scene? The next kind of thematic element that runs through this entire film is salt And tears. And salt appears symbolically in tears, representing grief, healing, emotional truth, and yes, even trauma. Much of Sally and Jillian's journey is about embracing truth and releasing suppressed pain. And some of the instances that I pulled out from the film, these are just a few that I can think of, but if you can think of any more, definitely weigh in. So Sally crying when Michael dies and goes to the aunts to bring him back, but they won't. Sally finally emotionally releasing when Jillian comes to visit her after she's numbed out for who knows how long. When she finally sees her sister's face when Sally comes to visit, or when Jillian comes to visit her in the night, Sally says, "I was really happy," right? And then she breaks down, and it just kills me every time. And who knows how long she was holding that in for. She couldn't talk to the aunts. They're the ones who betrayed her. She didn't have any friends on Maria's island.
That's
So
so
I'm sure
hard.
she was suppressing those emotions because there was nobody really else but Jilly who could hold that space for her. Another instance is Kylie crying when she's bullied in the center of town, and then her mom scolds her in public after she curses her bully with the chicken pox.
Right.
And then she's like, "You have all this power, mom, and you don't even know how to use it." So, tears all around in that scene.
Oh my God, I want to see Evan Rachel Wood
Yeah.
midnight margaritasing with her mama and her aunt just getting
Oh,
slammed.
sloshed.
Yeah.
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 Um, do you think they will reprise the Midnight Margarita scene since they put that song in the trailer?
Yes, they have to. They have to. With the
I
with
got
the girls
chills.
older.
I got chills saying that.
Mm.
I hope they do. I mean, I think I was comparing like a good reboot to that Ghostbusters movie. I was re-listening to some episode that we talked about this. I don't remember which one it was, but I was like, yeah, they really did the new Ghostbusters films really really good, really well. I hope that if they redo the Practical Magic films that they do it like that.
Yeah, somebody was
Um,
like, "Don't fuck this up like Hocus Pocus too,
right.
guys."
Because they did have a lot of callbacks to the original film and little inside jokes that only fans of the original film would know.
Hmm.
And I hope that they do continue to do that. I hope they do that for Practical Magic 2.
Yep.
And I do hope they reprise some of those pivotal, those key
If
moments,
you
those
know,
like,
no.
if you know, you know. And I really hope they do a callback to some of those key moments, but in a newer and fresher way, but without being overly gimmicky and cheesy.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
So that would be really cool to see that happen. Anyway, going back to the tears. Jillian crying in the motel when Sally goes to save her from Jimmy's abuse. Jillian crying in the backseat of Jimmy's car as he tries to brand her and kill pretty much both of them, right? Oh, and yeah, and then did you add this one? Maria wailing during childbirth and casting the curse in the film intro? Yes.
And at the very end, when Jillian is crying in the center of all the women and they're saying their goodbyes, and
Mhm.
then Sally's like, "No, we're not doing this." And she runs and gets the bottle. She's like, "Fuck you. Get
She's
out."
like, "Where's the salt?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Give me the salt. Yeah, exactly. So those were some of the ones that I could think of anyway. And doesn't she she also ugly cries after Gary was like, "I wish for you
Oh,
too,"
yeah,
right?
she does.
Before he turns and walks away and she's just like ugly cry face all
She's
around.
amazing. Yeah, but her hair looks so good, so it's balanced out.
That's another thing. I think that beautiful that luscious wavy hair that she's got going on can be attributed to that salty air because they're
Yes.
around the sea and the ocean.
Good catch.
I love like going to on like a beach vacation and like not really washing my hair, just letting the salty air do its thing and having my hair just like poof, not in like New Jersey humidity kind in a way, that kind
No,
of
no,
way.
your beach scrunch, your beach waves that they sell in bottles, if you really want to get at it. But it's
Yeah.
the all natural elements taking care of your beauty.
Yeah. There was a brand that I was using a while back. I forget what it's called. It's in a blue bottle. It was like, yeah, OGX is the brand. And it comes in this beautiful blue bottle. I used to use this stuff in the summertime, and I would just like put that on some like fresh showered hair and just let the salt do its thing. It's Moroccan sea salt spray. I love
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Yeah, that and you can make your own. You just get your little sea salt, right? We've talked about this, boil it down, and then you can add a little oil to it, Moroccan or argan oil or whatever to your
Yeah.
spray bottle.
Right. I don't know what I guess the minerals in the salts is probably good for your hair. I don't know what in that mixture is good for the hair other than the
The,
oil.
yeah, the oil. I think the salt on its own would be very drying.
Yeah.
It's not that great for your hair.
I do like how it kind of acts as its own like dry shampoo though. Like when I'm on vacation and like I'm around a beach and the salt is just doing its thing to my hair, I'm like, I ain't even gonna bother washing it. Just let the salt just wave my hair out for a few days. It's fine. So yeah, so that was the I guess the last instance of tears in that film. There was probably more. But if you guys could find any and pick them out, definitely feel free to weigh in the comments below if you're listening to this on Spotify.
The other one is when the girls are running down the stairs
Oh
after
right.
Jillian is possessed. And she mommy,
Right.
mommy, and they're crying like crazy.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, lots of tears in this film. And we're going to talk a little bit later on about why are our tears salty? Because I've always wondered that. I'm like, why are our tears salty? It's like it's stuff that you never think about. So we'll talk about that later on. And then throwing salt over the shoulder is that's the film's finale, that the final line. And as well as the end of the book, Sally says always throw spilled salt over your left shoulder, which is a common superstition referencing the devil being over your left shoulder. This little rule is about mindfulness and intention, about small actions protecting from larger consequences, right? Like if I don't put this salt over my left shoulder, am I gonna die in like 2 seconds?
Demons!
Right.
Get the devil! Get thee behind me, Satan!
So you gotta throw that salt over your shoulder because you never know what's gonna happen. So we're gonna talk about the origins of that superstition later on as well. Now I want to kind of talk about film scenes that salt should have been in and wasn't.
I can think of a few.
We talked about this on our Earth Element episode, but basically all of the scenes where they're doing any sort of spell work or ritual, there's no salt present.
No,
Right?
man, that's why it's all going downhill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they're trash witches because they just they don't have their salts on hand. Resurrection scene, no salt, right? Perhaps that's why that spell goes awry. There's literally no salt circle or even an energetic circle of protection cast. Just to speculate for a moment, what do we think would have happened with Jimmy's resurrection spell had the girls cast a salt circle around them while attempting this?
Sure, were they just using the brooms as a stand-in? Because that kind of did what salt is, doing as our intention is that's their circle of protection.
Like my mind goes like if they put a salt circle around them and Jimmy's on that slab, right? And then when he wakes up and goes to choke Jillian, like if they stepped outside the salt circle, would he have like hit a force field or something?
You're talking about resurrection, not
The resurrection, yeah.
exorcism. Got it.
Oh wait, did I say exorcism?
No, you probably didn't. I just wasn't listening. You're right. They should have put salt around him.
So I'm like, yeah, if he got off that slab and like trying to choke Jillian, would he have like hit like a brown like bounce back like?
Yeah. Oh man. And then what would they have done then? Okay, you have him trapped in this salt circle, but he is
Yeah.
just out of control. It's like watching a tiger like lose his shit in a aquarium.
Or like a fly running into the same window over and over again.
Yeah. In a glass ping ponging around in a cup.
Yeah. So yeah, what would they have done at that point? Like if he was just like going crazy, like I want you to be my wife, and he just
we have so many questions about that
and
spell.
he's just hitting different walls, like I want you.
It's turning into like a scary movie, the scary movie scene.
The visual that plays in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, and I could just like see them like looking at each other, like, what do we do? What do we do? At least it would have like given them some time
Yeah.
to figure it out before Sally just like impulsively bashes him over the head with a frying pan twice.
Right. Do you call the cops at that point? Because he is alive.
Right.
They'll just have questions about like, is he okay? Like, why is he not moving out of your kitchen?
They might just throw him in a like some kind of mental hospital at that point because he's like literally his eyes are not right. His eyes are like a different color altogether.
He's strung out.
And he's just strung the fuck
He's like the
out.
cats on your new fancy dinner picture.
Yeah. And he's just like screaming, I want you to be my wife. And that's all he could say from that point on. So they're like, all right, well, we're just gonna put him away somewhere.
He's pulling a Nancy.
A Nancy Downs, yeah. I'm flying.
That is so sad.
It is sad. And then you said the exorcism scene. So also, yes, the exorcism scene as well. I mean, I guess the circle of brooms is the protective circle, but no salt is present, and there was no grounding ritual before they got down to business here. However, when things start to go awry, I did notice, I never noticed this before, during the exorcism scene when Sally calls a timeout, when like shit is starting to hit the fan, and she's like, wait, wait, wait. And Jillian's kind of like laying on the floor. Sally goes to get the tequila bottle, but she also grabs the salt shaker and she pours it on her hand and she licks it before taking a swig of tequila to lure Jimmy out of Jillian once and for all. So perhaps that little bit of salt that Sally took that little swig of before the tequila, maybe that's what grounded and protected Sally enough to defeat Jimmy's wrath once and for all. There is salt, just not a circle around the brooms, and they did no real grounding ritual like to before. They didn't do any prep work, like we said in the Earth episode. They raw dogged that shit. Like they're like, exorcism, we don't need to ground, it's fine.
I hope 6 years later in Practical Magic 2, they're still kind of trying to get their shit together. I want
Yeah,
them not to be good at magic still. You know, I want to see their arc. I want to see
yeah,
them kind of learning along the way.
we
Yeah.
still want trash witchery.
Yes, please. Make us feel
Yes.
normal.
Yeah, exactly. We're all, well, Lori said, right, one of our patrons, we're all hit or miss witches, and the Owens are not exempt to that.
We
Um,
want the whipped cream,
yes,
right? As the standard.
whipped cream stars
Yeah.
and no salts for exorcisms,
Right.
and give us all the mistakes because we're all
That's life.
trash witches at heart.
Love
That's
it.
all I had for the movie. Was there anything that I missed that you can think of?
No, that was pretty thorough.
If anybody else has anything that you want to mention, definitely weigh in on our Spotify comments underneath this episode if you listen to us on Spotify. If not, hit us up at magnoliastreetpodcast@gmail.com if you want to email us and weigh in on any of that. But we're going to move on to book mentions now, and there's a lot of these because there's 4 books, and you have 4 books worth of, witch stories. You're going to talk about salt.
Alice didn't fuck around when it came to the salt.
No, she
Not
didn't.
like the rattlesnake weed. You
Yeah.
know, that was the whole opposite end.
Mhm.
Salt, strap in.
Right. But we still managed to get like a 3-hour episode out of Rattlesnake.
Yeah, girl, this is gonna be long. Oh my
This is
God.
going to be really long because there's so many book mentions. So we're going to kick it off here with Practical Magic, the first book that was released. And this starts on page 24. It says, once a year, on Midsummer's Eve, a sparrow would find its way into the Owens house. No matter how anyone tried to prevent it, the bird always managed to get inside. They could set out saucers of salt on the windowsills and hire a handyman to fix the gutters and the roof, and still the bird would appear. So are they like implying that this sparrow is like a negative entity?
Yeah, isn't it a bad omen?
Right.
Yeah.
And then also on page 24, it goes on about the sparrow. It says it would enter the house at twilight, the hour of sorrow, and it always came in silence, yet with a strange resolve, which defied both salt and bricks, as though the poor thing had no choice but to perch on the drapes and the dusty chandelier, from which glass drops spill down like tears. So I guess the sparrow was like, fuck your salt, I'm gonna bust through this shit anyway. Didn't give a fuck. So I guess the salt doesn't work on the sparrow.
We
So
have not done a sparrow episode, but we
why
have
not?
done a dove episode. So we'll
We've
get
done a
around to
dove
it.
episode, and we did touch on the sparrow in our last
Yes.
year's summer solstice episode. But yeah, I did want to deep dive more into the sparrow, so I think maybe around this solstice we can
Mm-hmm.
touch back on that for sure. On page 27, it says the aunts bought their tubes of rose-colored lipsticks and bath salts from Spain. They mail-ordered party dresses and lace slips and soft suede boots, but Sally gave it all to Jillian, who could put these gifts to good use. So yeah, it goes on to say that, or Sally would rather just read books than have anything to do with these, like, indulgent things that the aunts are trying to give to her to get her to come out of her shell. And she's like, nah, I don't want any of that. On page 97, that is how she is, standing barefoot in the grass with the salt mark of tears left on her cheeks and a funny sort of smile on her face. I don't remember what that was referring to. Page 129, Kylie has begun to set dishes of salt on the windowsills. She sprinkles rosemary outside all the doors. Still, he manages to get into the house when everyone's asleep, and that is referring to Jimmy's spirit.
This salt in the dish has not worked for them in the last 4 passages.
No,
Okay, don't do
it has
that.
not. Yeah. So maybe they need to bulk up on their protective measures,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
On
Iodized.
page well, iodized. Or maybe they need to move up one to Himalayan salt
Ooh,
or
yeah.
something, I don't
Ocean,
know.
straight from the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. Page 179. The waitresses watched him carefully, hoping he'd soon be up to his old tricks, setting the salt shakers on end, starting fires in the ashtrays with a snap of his fingers, snatching tablecloths from beneath their place settings. But Ben just went on drinking coffee. And that's referring to Ben Fry, Jillian's magician boyfriend. On page 181, she ignores the girls' protests and sends them to bed. Then she goes to the kitchen and fixes a pitcher of margaritas. She takes the pitcher along with 2 glasses dipped in coarse salts out to the backyard and leaves it all beside the 2 lawn chairs set up near the little garden where the cucumbers are doing their best to grow. And that was basically pretty much the Midnight Margarita scene in the book. But it wasn't a Midnight Margaritas scene. It was just margaritas, right?
Margaritas in the yard.
Margaritas in the yard. There was no lime in the coconut, no dancing around with the aunts, no big hullabaloo cinematic movie scene montage. It was just... I do like how the writers of the film kind of pulled that out of the book, though, and gave it its own moment, you know?
Yes, agreed.
I do like how they do those little moments really well.
That's why they have the jobs they have. They can just pick and choose like what to not inflate, but give more space to. That really made the movie.
That really did, because like now that's a staple, right?
Yes.
You can't watch Practical Magic without having a Midnight Margarita in your hand. It's just not possible. Page 183. Jillian has salt on her fingers from her margarita. She has that beautiful smile on her face, and she seems younger tonight. Maybe the New York humidity is good for her skin, or maybe it's the moonlight, but something about her seems brand new, because she can't fight the moonlight. On page 229, it's time for everyone to go home, Jillian declares. Scott and Gideon are sent away with promises of phone calls and postcards for Scott, and boxes of saltwater taffy for Gideon. On page 272, potatoes have already been dug up, boiled, and mashed, and are currently being flavored with salt, pepper, and sprigs from the rosemary that grows beside the gate. The Willowware serving bowl has been rinsed clean and is drying on the rack. And that was the final scene in the book when it's Thanksgiving. It's not Halloween in the book. But they're fixing up their mashed potatoes. So I guess that's kind of why Sally feels the need to say that whole thing about the salt, throwing spilled salt over your leftover and pepper in your mashed potatoes, because that's the line of the book.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah. And in the movie, they left out the mashed potato part, but everything else still fits.
So that makes sense why they would add the little bit of the salt and the pepper, because it's that practical magic. It's that everyday kitchen witchery. Like every witch has salt and pepper in their kitchen, and that's one of the staples that you can really do some good magic with those 2 things, and it's so simple. You know?
I never added pepper to my potatoes until I read this.
No?
I mean, I read this in like high school, so I wasn't really cooking for myself either, but I was like, our family didn't add pepper to potatoes, you know?
Yeah, we added salt and pepper to everything. I add salt and pepper to everything. It's just so simple, and sometimes that's all you need. You don't really need like fancy seasoning sometimes. Just keep it simple. Salt, pepper, a little extra virgin olive oil, and you're good to go.
I love sushi last night.
I did have sushi last night.
How was it? What'd you get?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah,
was it salty?
Yeah, I mean with all the soy sauce. Exactly. I was like, I need some water. But yeah, I had a spicy salmon roll and an amazing roll with the mango on top. I love mango with my sushi. Best.
You don't like a sweet thing
I do.
with a savory thing.
If a sushi place doesn't have mango in anything, I'm like, fuck this place.
This place sucks.
This place sucks. Anyway, so page 279, the main line, the book first. So says, there are some things after all that Sally Owens knows for certain. Always throw spilled salt over your left shoulder, keep rosemary by your garden gate, add pepper to your mashed potatoes, plant roses and lavender for luck, and fall in love whenever you can. Da, 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 da. Beautiful. I love that.
And we talked about, I think in our roses episode, why they nixed that line. In the book, it says plant roses and lavender for luck. But in our movie, the roses symbolize Jimmy. So they left that part out. But in the book, the lilac symbolized Jimmy. So that's why they kind of finagled that last line in the movie to fit a little better with what they were trying to go for.
I bet by the end of the movie, those girls were like, fuck roses. We don't want to see any more roses.
Exactly.
Roses mean that asshole? No, he's gone for good. We don't want any more roses over here. But, oh my God, I meant to tell you this. Me and Avi just started watching this show on Netflix called The Gardener. Have you watched that yet?
No.
It's a foreign show, so it's like subtitles. I think it's originally in Spanish because the Spanish version is called El Jardinero. I don't know if it's Jardinero or Jardinero, something about the gardener. It's about this boy and his mother, right? And they were in a traumatic accident when he was a kid, and then he lost all his emotion due to this accident. So, but then he ends up creating all these gardens and stuff. So now he's like this like idiot savant who just can like create like these
That's
beautiful
cool.
things. But listen to this shit, okay? Why are his gardens so beautiful?
He's a murderer.
He's using dead bodies to fertilize them.
I
Exactly.
love it. I love it.
So I mean, he took a page right out of the Owens girls book. He just
He's
like,
a murderer.
put a dead body under the roses and they're gonna bloom like beautifully.
Bada
Yeah.
boom.
And nobody has questions. All right, so moving on to rules of magic. Hold on. You know,
Are you farting?
I found dry lavender in my pocket.
Oh, that's a nice surprise.
I picked it out of the garden the other day. I just like picked a sprig and I walked around with it under my nose
so
the
nice.
entire day. I was like, this is so good. And then I put it in my pocket, so I'm wearing dirty pants.
That's fine. Dirty pants, Carubia.
Dirty pants, just to keep lavender in my pocket.
Carubia.
Love my lavender. All right, moving on to rules of magic. This starts on page 15, and this says her talking about Susanna, and that is Jet, Franny, and Vincent's mother, right? Her penchant for the rules only made her children more curious. Why did their mother draw the curtains on May Day, leaving them in the dark? Why did she wear sunglasses on moonlit nights? Why did she panic when they ran out of salt and quickly rush down to buy some at the market? They looked for clues about their heritage, but there were few keepsakes, although one day Franny discovered an old photograph album wrapped in muslin on the top shelf of the hallway closet.
Why would you wear glasses in the moonlight?
Sunglasses? I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe if the moon is too bright, maybe.
I guess. Like being moonstruck?
If
Like
you're
Cher?
a creature of the night. Or maybe she's just a fucking vampire and any kind of light is like, I don't know.
I don't know.
But she did run out to get salt if they ran out. So
Which is like kind of like what's it called? A paradox, a dichotomy. Like she doesn't do the magic. She doesn't want the kids to do the magic. However, we're gonna be
yeah,
prepared in case we have to do the magic.
right.
Hmm.
Exactly. So what is a contradiction? A walking contradiction.
There you go.
Right. Yeah. On page 26, Franny had taken to sitting on the back staircase to eavesdrop. She bought a blue notebook in the pharmacy to write down her aunt's remedies. And one of the remedies is garlic, salt, and rosemary, the ancient spell to cast away evil. And vampires! With all that garlic. On page 27, their favorite activity on especially hot days was a hike to Leech Lake, a spot most people avoided, for if a swimmer waded into the murky depths past the reeds, scores of leeches awaited. Franny kept a packet of salt in her backpack to disperse any of the leeches that attached themselves, but for some reason, none even came close. And we talked about this on our Leech Lake Leviathan episode that we released a couple weeks ago, and maybe Franny just like she had that magic in her veins, like they just never bothered her for some reason. On page 59, it says, making this soap was hard work, and soon enough Franny was overheated. Sweat fell into her eyes, and her skin turned slick with a sheen of salt. On page 88, and this is about April explaining the Reverend to Franny and Jet. She says, he'll refuse to be in the same room. He's not too well bred to hate us. I wandered into his garden during my first visit to Aunt Isabel's, and he came out and poured salt on the ground as if I had contaminated the place.
Oh. And then killed his garden.
And then he killed his garden, yeah, exactly. Page 117. Franny had been convinced it was only a rumor that Aunt Isabel was given all manner of jewelry as payment until she saw a neighbor take off her cameo necklace and leave it on the kitchen table. And then one day, as she was searching a cabinet for the salt shaker, she found a plastic container that rattled. Inside were a dozen diamond rings. On page 125, this is Franny and Jet doing what Aunt Isabel told them to do during the mourning period after Levi and their parents die. Aunt Isabel told Franny and Jet they needed to turn the mirrors to the wall, and then she had them sprinkle salt on the windowsills and leave sprigs of rosemary outside the door. On page 160, this is talking about how the aunts, they bartered their witch services for maintenance work at their shop. For the carpenter who built shelves, the sisters concocted a hex breaker composed of salt, coconut oil, lavender, lemon juice, and lemon verbena. If he gave the mixture to the ex-client who was bad-mouthing him, the slanderer would fall silent. Interesting. I wonder, is that the same thing that they used on, wasn't one of their cousins, they like silenced her, they turned her into a rabbit? Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, because she was bad-mouthing the family.
Right, yeah. So, I forget what her name was. Do you remember her name?
Maggie.
Maggie! Yes.
Maggie the rabbit.
Maggie the rabbit. Yeah, I want to go back and listen to our rabbit episode. That episode was so good.
See, we gotta just do a run through of season 1 and
I
critique,
know.
you know.
I know.
We'll pull that
Yeah.
for the roast. We should
Commentary.
roast our first episode.
Oh my God, we should. We should. Oh my God, because that's the episode that the our hater commented on.
Let's put it on the docket.
Let's do it. Okay. Let's see, where did I leave off? Okay, page 167. She drew the curtains and flung open the windows. Then she peered into the bathroom to see the huge tub and all the lovely bath salts and soaps. And finally, she lay down on the bed, fully clothed. And that was in reference to Jet when she went to that hotel. Remember when she was gonna she wanted to kill herself? That's that scene. And I guess she was just kind of like looking around at all of the amenities before she was like, all right, I guess this is where I want to die. That was sad. But she didn't, right? She was saved by what's his face?
So the odds of somebody dying in the hotel room you're staying in are quite high.
Yes.
That's sad.
Yeah. What's that hotel in LA? The Cecil Hotel. Did you watch that documentary?
Mm-hmm. I used to follow a
Yo,
guy who lived across the street on TikTok, and he would
that
just
that redhead
live
kid,
stream.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yo,
So
that
wild.
shit's
And
bonkers.
the girl who was in the water tank.
Yeah, Eliza Lamb.
Elisa
Eliza
Lamb.
Lamb. Yeah.
Hmm.
There's so many podcast episodes about people like going down that whole rabbit hole.
I
And
love him.
then
I love him.
American Horror Story, the Hotel Cortez
I'm getting
in
goosebumps.
the motel season. I
Yes.
think that's what it was called. I don't remember what that season was called.
Hotel.
But the hotel. It was based off of the Cecil Hotel.
So good. That was the first thing I saw Lady Gaga act in, and I was very impressed. I was like, dang,
She was in a previous season of American Horror Story.
which
She
one?
was in Roanoke.
I
She
didn't see
played
that
like
one.
she played like the witch woman doctor lady, witch doctor
So how
lady.
did it go? I thought, okay, so the third season was The Witches. I thought the fourth season was Hotel.
I think Roanoke came before Hotel.
Oh, really? Okay. I
Yeah.
didn't see that one.
Yeah, I think yeah. Roanoke was pretty good. It's really gory though. It's like
They're all
crazy.
bad.
I know they're so bad they're good.
Yeah.
Okay, moving along here. Okay, page 192. This says, "You don't sound like yourself." Franny was already looking for a canister of salt and some fresh rosemary to dispel whatever afflicted him. And this was when Vincent was in love. On page 193, this whole situation goes on. It says, Franny was truly worried. There was no one of whom she felt more protective, because Vincent is their baby brother, right? Yeah, baby brother. She thought of sitting beside his crib with a canister of salt, refusing to leave him after he'd been returned to them. She had seen a halo around him, the sign of a beautiful but short life. Franny had the salt with her now, but here he was with a grin on his face, and there was William Grant, watching them, concerned, clearly mad for her brother. "Franny," Vincent said, "do not argue with me. Let me be who I am." Oh, yeah, okay, so Vincent's saying this to Franny. He says, "Franny, do not argue with me. Let me be who I am." As she threw her arms around him, she forgot about the salt and the rosemary and the curse and the ways that fate could surprise you. "Then I wish you happiness," she said, for that was really all she ever wanted for him. On page 238, the Willard home was a white house with green shutters, more than 200 years old, with a huge garden that had never regained its former glory once the Reverend had cast down salt on the day when April Owens blundered in, aiming to pick some of his pie plate-sized roses. Now the rose bushes were bare and the leaves curled up. The only things that grew here were daffodils, and Jet was surprised to see that there were hundreds of them. On page 240, did I show you the front yard of that house on the way that I see on the way to work?
Yes, so beautiful.
It's like a cute little cottage house, all daffodils on the front lawn.
I love it. Yeah,
No
it's stunning.
grass. Just
No
daffodils.
grass.
Yeah. But it sucks to like it's only pretty for like 2 or 3 weeks out of the year, and then the rest it just looks like crappy weeds, you know? That's the thing about like bulb flowers, is that like when they're not bloomed, it just looks like a bunch of like fronds, like big grass, just like it's not that was like the whole side of my house when we bought this house. We had lilies alongside, like the previous owner just planted all these freaking lilies. And they barely bloomed, and when they did, the deer would just eat the heads off of them. So they were like never in bloom. It just looked like crappy, ugly leaves. So we tore all that shit out, and it was so much fucking work. I hated it.
I have a ton of daffodils in the front. And then when they do get like that and they're drooping and they're on the ground, I'll tie them in like a bunch of them and I'll tie it in so it looks like little balls on the ground. So
Aw.
at least they're not like drooping and being ugly. They're hidden. And what else was I gonna say? I just bought a freesia little plant in a pot and it smells so good. And
I
I want
saw
to
those at
plant
the
it.
garden center.
Oh my God, you
I
get
need to
one.
get
You should
one.
get one.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
it smells
What are
amazing.
they? Are those full sun?
They are part shade. I would
Okay.
put part shade.
Right.
And they're also like a rhizome or a bulb or something. And I was going to
Yeah.
plant it, but I was like, you're going to kind of look ugly. And I think here we have to bring them in.
The whole lily situation on the side of my house, like taking those out, that put me off of bulbs for probably the rest of my life. And like I do love like how a tulip looks or like how daffodils look, but then I'm like, yeah, but they have such a short lifespan, and then when they die, they look ugly.
If there's other things to
Uh-huh.
like camouflage them through the year, it'd probably be all right.
Yeah, I might be able to pop like one tulip over in my front garden, maybe.
One tulip. So sad.
Yeah,
There was a
one
video
lone
I saw
tulip.
and it was all like I think it was either black or white, I can't remember, but all like one color tulip and somebody was like filming driving down the road and then there was one red tulip in the middle and they were like, "Oh." It threw off the look.
That's great. But yeah, they are pretty. Page 245. William's mother had an apartment in New York and stayed there year round, but she came out to celebrate Thanksgiving with the family. They love Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving with the family, despite having a separate life from her husband. It was a clear, bright, beautiful day, the air tinged with salt, the climbing roses blooming, the graveyard was filled with sunlight. On page 282, they drove out to Sag Harbor. It was early spring and the trees were budding, but the air was still cool. It was a clear, bright, beautiful day, the air tinged with salt. Again, Alice uses that again, the air tinged with salt. The climbing roses blooming. They were in William's car and they all wore black. They barely spoke, especially when they drove the Sagticos Parkway past Pilgrim State. Where's Sag Harbor? Where is that?
New York?
And then lastly, on page 340, he, talking about Halen, knew everyone's name and all of their ailments. And when walking with Franny to the library for board meetings, he reminded his patients to stop eating salt and take their medications. And Halen was a doctor later in his life, right? So that was what that's referring to. So that is all for Rules of Magic.
In Magic Lessons, page 8, although the mania had died down, mothers continued to tie their babies to their cradles to make certain they wouldn't be stolen in the night, setting bowls of precious salt on the windowsills to protect those inside. Page 10, salted leaves that can be used to dress and heal the bite of a dog. And this is in a longer description in Hannah's remedies. Page 12, salt, garlic, stone, thread, talismans for fortune, love, luck, and good health. This is also in a list of practical materials. Page 18, as Hannah walked home in the fading dark, the toad skin sparkled with light. This made it clear that the grimoire formed from this creature would have its own power and would give strength to the written enchantments it bore. Any spell would be twice as potent. Hannah prepared the leather that very night secretly and with great skill, salting the skin before stretching it on a wooden rack. Overnight, the toad leather grew twice as large as it had been, taking on the form of a square, which signified the mystical shape of the heart, combining the human and the divine and representing the four elements: fire, earth, air, and water. It was an omen of power and heartbreak and love. Page 18. Maria was swept up by raw emotion and gratitude, and from that day forward, she cried when she was flooded by her responses, burning her own skin with her dark, salty tears. Never in her life had anything truly belonged to her and her alone, and this is when Hannah gifted her the toad skin bound grimoire. Page 20. In a spell labeled for love, one of the ingredients says, salt tossed on the fire for 7 days will bring an errant lover home. Page 34. She, talking about Maria, was so close to the seas that when Maria licked her lips, she tasted salt. There were different kinds of birds here, gulls and terns that wheeled through pink-tinged sky. Soon the water she walked through was brackish, and all along the shore small crabs burrowed in the mud. Maria climbed a tree in which to safely rest for the evening, and from the high vantage points she could see blue in the distance the miraculous sea. There was her future before her. Page 42, Rebecca herself was drawn toward the dark. What some people called left-handed magic, and she certainly didn't care about men's wrath even after her years with her husband. Oh, this is Maria's mother, her biological mother. Men's wrath even after her years with her husband, who had known enough about her skill to set out a circle of salt around her and he tied her to an iron chair before he beat her, for salt and iron depleted a witch's talents. Page 57. Maria knew to use spirits of turpentine to prevent lockjaw, salt, and molasses for a salve used on deep cuts that might otherwise poison a man's blood, black or green tea steeped with boiling milk, and nutmeg for dysentery. Page 58. In a spell labeled for sea travel, do not take salt from another person's hand at the table, or you will both have bad luck. If salt spills, throw a pinch over your left shoulder. Page 64, the air was moving and alive, and when the wind came up suddenly, it was a soft, dark breeze filled with salt and the tang of seaweed. And this is describing Curacao. Page 65, the moon itself seemed different here in Curacao, glowing with pale silver light. In the salt flats, there were miraculous birds, flamingos, white and scarlet ibis, green herons, great blue herons, and the black-crowned night heron that cried in the dark, as if it were a woman pleading for her life. Page 69, Maria never revealed how she knew to take in the laundry just before the rain began to fall, or how she managed to chase the rats from the garden with a bit of white powder, or why she left garlic, salt, and rosemary outside their chamber door to protect those inside from ill will.
I have a comment on the last passage you read about the black crowned night heron. Wasn't the heron the bird that Franny and Jet, like, they had a stuffed bird in their
Yeah,
magic shop? Was it a heron? I don't remember.
Edgar.
Edgar?
Was
It was a heron though, right?
Yeah.
Heron?
Yeah, yeah. Do you
Yeah.
think that was the stuffed heron?
Well, maybe not that one, but
Oh,
like, but I'm wondering like if it had any I don't know, anything to do with the lineage that passed down.
there's so many like
I
bird
know.
mentions, and I think it's just connecting witches with flight, you know?
Yeah, freedom,
Mm-hmm.
you
Totally.
know.
Also, on page 69, their lives had changed very little since they worked for the Jensens. Only now it wasn't a grand house they cared for, but wooden shacks near the harbor, one wedged next to the other on stilts, above the blue sea that rotted the floorboards and left a silver sheen of salt over every dish and chair.
Was this foreshadowing on the salt that rotted the rope that ultimately saved Maria? Because it's in this passage,
Oh,
it's explaining how the salt of the sea can rot through something,
that's a good catch.
right?
Alice had it right there the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
Page 83, this is talking about Hathorn. He squinted into the sunlight and stayed close to the girl. She smelled like lavender and salt. 84, when a man kisses a witch, all the coins in his pocket turn black. But Hathorn didn't notice until later, and he thought the salt air had been the thing to turn the coins, and frankly, didn't care after the kiss. Page 85, this is the spell that Maria does to stop wanting Hathorn. To stop wanting him, she wrote his name in a white candle and threw it far out to sea. But it was not enough. A witch's love is not so easily erased. She drank lettuce water, poured whiskey in an iron pot, bathed in salt and vinegar, ouch, and then with anise seed and bay leaves. And still, she could not rid herself of her emotions.
Yo, lettuce water sounds horrible.
Yeah, that's nasty. Lettuce water? It's like like the boiled Jimson weed.
No,
Fiasco.
yeah. Or like, when people drink that green juice, or I don't fucking know. Like, there's people that drink celery juice. Like, what is that?
Ew.
It probably tastes like nothing. Like, what the ew.
That's I don't like celery to begin with, so I don't know.
I mean, I like
Lettuce
celery in
juice.
like soups and like I'll eat it, but like I'm not fucking juicing it and drink it. Like that sounds like
Lettuce.
I would rather drink toilet water,
Oh
maybe.
no.
Maybe not. But that is gross.
It is. Yeah, I wonder what the connection with like magically lettuce
Right.
is supposed to be doing.
I have no idea. That is that's a strange random thing that Alice threw in there. I don't know if that she's heard of that before, or is that something else that, she just I don't know.
Like the yarrow, she's just kind of pulling
Yeah, yeah,
into her
yeah.
orbit.
Yeah.
Page 94. It was March 20th, and she wanted her baby to be born before midnight. March 21st was known to be the unluckiest day of the year. Junie and Adri spread salt on the earth to banish spirits who might wish the baby ill.
Those are the girls that Maria befriended in Curacao,
Yeah.
right?
Page 118. Odd as these dishes were to her plate, she soon grew accustomed to the strange food she ladled out each evening. Cod and mashed potatoes. Hey, mashed potatoes.
I
Baked
love cod.
that had been soaked in cold water overnight and were then cooked for hours with salted pork. With salt pork, stewed pumpkins, yellow and green native squashes, pot pies of every sort, boiled clams, cherry and plum puddings, as well as a dish known as Indian pudding, a great favorite of Faith's. Imagine going from Curacao, where it's very probably like ocean, lots of fish, like all these spices, to this like heavy, hearty ass food.
New England food is so hearty,
Mm-hmm. Them
right?
cold winters.
You can get a chowder anywhere.
Oh, chowder or a
Love
bisque.
me some chowder.
What's the difference between a chowder and a bisque?
Chowder isn't like a chowder like lumpy and it has stuff in it, and then a bisque is like
Just soupy?
creamy and soup and like more liquidy. There's not like chunks in it, I don't think.
Oh
I
no.
could be wrong. I'm just guessing. That's the first thing that popped in my mind.
I like both.
I like,
Yeah.
yeah, lobster bisque or some clam chowder. Yo, this book, more in particular, is like loaded with food references and it makes me so hungry.
And they're all good. You know
All
Alice is
good.
good in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Page 119. Every morning, Maria made her daughter a breakfast of gruel, oats settled in water. Is this Aaron? He's just eat.
This is Aaron's breakfast.
He makes overnight oats. Have you ever done that?
Avi does that too.
They're
I'm
gonna get
like,
along.
that looks disgusting.
It looks like baby puke.
By the morning, it's like soggy and like I'm
Hmm.
like, that does not look like something I want to eat. I have a thing with textures. I am horrible, and I know I'm horrible because I tend to waste food sometimes because if I get home and it sits in the fridge for too long and it loses the texture that it had when it came out fresh, I'm like, I can't fucking eat that. So
Oh.
half the time, my husband eats my leftovers because I asked him this the other day because we went to the diner last weekend. I got a turkey bacon club, right? Brought it home. I was like, all right, I'll eat it later for dinner. I forgot, didn't. The next day I was gonna eat it for lunch. The bread was all
Why did you
soggy.
put new bread on it?
Everything was soggy. I did. I ended up taking some of the turkey and putting it on another like a new
Okay,
fresh
good, good,
sandwich
good.
bread. But there was so much left. So I was like, Avi, do you want it? He's like, yeah, I'll eat it. I was like, soggy bread, like the texture of like food sitting in the fridge doesn't bother you? He's like, no. I'm like, I can't. I can't. Like
That's so
texture,
funny.
like, yeah.
If anything
So
is like the day of expiration, Aaron wants to throw it away. I'm like, what
really,
the fuck? Yeah, it drives me crazy. I'm like, you have never been hungry, my guy. Oh my
yeah,
God. But
no,
yeah, I understand.
I usually give it like a week past its expiration.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, time to throw this out.
Okay. Anyway, the boil is the pot pies of every sort, boiled clams, cherry and plum pudding, as well as a dish known as Indian pudding. I already read this. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
119. Every morning, Maria made her. I've read this already too. Okay, this is
What the
Aaron
fuck?
here. Oats
Oh,
settled
yeah.
in cold water, boiled with raisins, sugar, and a pinch of salt and nutmeg. Page 123. Still others came for remedies of garlic, salt, and rosemary, the most ancient spell to cast away evil. Many wanted Maria's teas concocted late at night by lantern light. 129, and this is in a list of Boston remedies: salt and molasses for cuts, table salt and vinegar, fermented for colic. Ooh, that's gross. To give to a baby?
I guess
Fermented
so.
salt and vinegar?
What does that even look like?
That I feel like would turn the baby. It's just gonna get everything out. Maybe it's like a, what's it called?
Yeah, an ipecac,
Like a, yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Yeah, ipecac.
Page 139, Maria had brought along some Johnny cakes for Faith to eat on the journey and some salt cod for herself. And as they went along the road, she picked handfuls of ripe blackberries.
We talked about Johnny Cakes on our pancake episode. Go listen to that.
Nice. Yes, we did.
I
Yep.
think that was season 2.
Okay, I'll eat a pancake if I don't have a choice. If it can
If
have
we,
eggs on the side.
yeah, when me and Avi go to the diner, we'll usually get our own meal, right? I usually go ham on an omelet or something salty as fuck. And then we'll split a plate of pancakes.
Something sweet.
Yeah, it's something sweet to like top off the breakfast. Cause like I'm like, I need salty as my meal, but then I need something sweet to finish off the meal.
It's like a
Yeah.
appetite stopper, like settling
Yeah.
that sweetness. I'm gonna keep going for seconds and thirds unless I have a sweet thing and that's like you're done.
Yeah. I told Avi that and like now we call it our meal done.
Oh
So
yeah,
like
that's
so
right.
like after cuz like that's when we know the meal is done because we
Well
have
done.
something sweet to top it off. And he's like, "Are we going to have meal dones tonight?"
That's
Like
cute.
that's his
I
way of
have
saying
been
what's for dessert.
I have been going for. Have you ever had a Benedictine and brandy? It says B&B
No.
on the label. It's a kind of like a cognac, like a liquor, but there's also the
Ooh.
Grand Marnier liquor. They're both very sweet and they're both supposed to be
I've
like,
had Grand Marnier.
yeah, they have a specific name. It's like an
Yeah.
after dinner like
And,
stomach
oh,
settler.
aperitif. I,
Probably it. That's
I
probably
think
it.
it's aperitif. Aperitif or
That's my sweet
cordials.
thing.
Cordials, right?
That's my sweet thing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I love me, I love my peanut butter whiskey. So,
Love peanut butter whiskey. That's a good
yeah.
one too. Page 155. They took a late supper together, cooked over a fire. Before she left Boston, Mrs. Henry had taught her how to fix Salem pudding, a favorite dish made of flour, milk, molasses, and raisins, all boiled for hours, and how to make a quick meal of Johnny cakes with Indian meal and flour, one egg, a little sugar, and salt, and soda. 159. At night, she, talking about Ruth, and this is Hawthorne's wifey wife, would bathe with salt and vinegar to cleanse herself and ensure that evil thoughts could not cling to her. those impure thoughts. But Maria held no ill will toward her, only pity. They were sisters, really. They had held up their palms one beside the other. The same love line would run through each of their hands until the middle of their palms, when the lines were diverted. This is how he'll hurt you. This is the way you will blame yourself. This is your salvation. This is what you can see if you open your eyes. 174, Nathaniel Hatch was gone for a night, then for a month. Before long it was summer, and he had still not been seen. Anne ran the store herself, and after 6 months she went to court and was declared a widow. A search party had found her husband's boots and his gun at the far side of Leech Lake. He just left, right? We were talking about, are they dying in Leech Lake? Or
No,
is he
no,
dead?
no. I think didn't Maria do a spell to have him
Yes.
disappear?
Yes, but I'm just kind of linking it back to the Leech Lake, like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
really drove
yes.
him away.
Yep.
It was thought that he had drowned while hunting the sea monster, as others had before him, for there was a pile of salt near his belongings, and the salt was known to call sea water creatures. Did we have that 174 in our Leech Lake episode? I don't remember reading
I
that.
don't remember that either.
Yeah. Because it says saltwater creatures. Maybe
Yeah,
like sea monster and not sea
right,
serpent.
right.
It says no one but Maria had seen the footprints of his bare feet continuing on past the pond, driven by an overwhelming urge to leave Massachusetts.
Hmm.
177, she, talking about Martha Chase, had often returned to watch Faith play, hiding behind the inkberry bushes. Do you think she's talking about pokeberry here? Crying
Oh,
hot,
maybe.
salty tears.
Yeah, maybe.
183. She took the wooden box of salt she kept in the bureau, then poured a thin line along the walls and the door. But the salt evaporated in a white cloud as soon as it was laid down. Nothing would stick. It was too late for protection. Keeper had begun to growl and scratch at the door. Tie up that dog of yours, the man shouted. There have been children judged to have carried out witchery, Martha Chase said. They are beaten with switches, taken from their homes, treated like common criminals. Martha had bathed in a wash of salt and vinegar that evening to make certain she washed away her desire. She was now clean, a good and serious woman with a good deed in mind. She's trying to justify stealing a child. 204, over one shoulder, he, talking about Samuel Diaz, carried a leather satchel that was stained with salt. He had a grin on his face, despite the circumstances. Inside the bag was the one thing that could set Maria Owens free. And 210, people began to run away. They dashed through the muck in the fields, hauling the startled children they'd brought to witness the hanging. Men who'd previously thought they were brave were afraid to turn back, for they remembered that individuals who look back on evil may be turned into a pillar of salt. There were those who saw the horse approach, and the stranger who took Maria's hand to pull her up to ride behind him. Ooh, that is so... I like that. That's okay. Could you imagine seeing that? Like, oh my God, that's true love.
Yeah.
Later, some people said that it was the devil, who'd been waiting for her.
Black Phillip.
That's kind of also a cool twist, like
Yeah.
cool thing to tie to your name. And that they had been tested and failed. But there were others who said God always grants a pardon to those who are blameless. And the fact that Maria couldn't be killed was proof of her innocence, like the snake handlers.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Also on 210, those who ridiculed the nameless art began to doubt that courts and laws could control magic. There was no need for them to know that Samuel Diaz had replaced the constable's original rope early that morning with one he'd used at sea, an old length rotted through by exposure to the weather. He used it to tie up the magnolia tree, and when the rope split, he grew convinced that the tree had saved Maria. When spring came to Essex County years later, the magnolia would bloom on the same day every year, a miracle and a joy to all who saw the white flowers blossom, the glory of the world.
You know, I forgot about that detail. Not about the rope breaking and saving Maria, but it was the same rope that he used to tie up the magnolia tree.
Yeah. Special, blessed.
Yeah. All right, page 222. All the same, Abraham, that's Samuel Diaz's father, shared his stories with her as he sipped his nightly drink. He always remembered these stories, even though he'd often forgotten what he had for his supper that very day. He told her about the joy of riding on the back of a whale, the salt spray filling his mouth, and about a land where all the bears were white and it was so cold the earth was covered with ice even in the heart of August. Page 241. At last they had come to Kings County, where the blue air tasted like salt, and seabirds dropped clams onto the dirt roads to crack them open to feast upon. It was the last outpost and the place where they would stay. Page 245. She, she, talking about Faith, bought or pilfered ingredients that she remembered as useful from the time when she'd watched Maria practice the nameless art. Ginger, lemon, salt, the bark of the elm, chokeberries, cherry pits, white candles and black candles, black fabric, red thread, blue beads, feathers, wild belladonna, which was dangerous and agitated the spirit, bright yellow-green ferns, for lightning never strikes where ferns grow. Is that true?
I don't think so, but
Or
I've
is...
just planted some ferns. I think I showed you the back of my car. I didn't show you
Yeah.
where I planted them. Dude, I went back in looking for those hellebores and they just look pitiful. I was
Hmm.
like, I'm not spending $20 on this.
Yeah, it's probably too late in the season for them. They should have had those marked on clearance. What the fuck?
Exactly. Yeah, $20? No.
Right.
No.
Yeah. No, thank you. But I have a fern on the side of my house and they just started popping up
I
out of the
love their
ground.
little curly
The
leaves.
little curlies. Yeah. Did you know people eat those?
No. Is
Yeah.
that like lettuce soup? Lettuce juice?
No. They like I guess they fry them and it's like a delicacy.
Wow, I did not
I
know that.
just learned about this like when I had my full moon tea party. Some of the girls that come to my tea party, they're like, "Yeah, you know you could eat those." Because one of them forages, and then another one, she like has like not a homestead, but she's got like chickens and stuff. And I guess
I
she
did not
maybe
know that.
she's done that before. I don't know, but I was like, "What?
Of all the things. Okay.
This is news to me." I
Okay.
but like I don't think I would go trying to eat the ones growing, on the side of my house. I don't know. I think
Maybe,
there's certain ones you do that with, and I don't know if it's all of them. So I don't know.
yeah,
I don't probably wouldn't do
do your
it.
research.
Yeah, exactly. Um, but show me where you planted your ferns. I want to see where you
I
planted
will.
them.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll just send you a picture right now.
Okay.
Go ahead.
On page 252, a line of salt had been poured along the walls so that no evil could enter, and herbs were strewn over the bed. And this was when Maria was trying to save Abraham, Samuel's father. On page 262, it was a good time of year to plant the tree he had brought from St. Thomas, ignored for as long as he'd been here, its roots wrapped in burlap, its leaves still coated with salt. It was not a magnolia, the one genus that might have convinced even the most contrary women to fall in love, cursed or not. All the same, the roots of the tree of heaven would take hold long after the red flowers fell off and scattered. On page 267, when Faith came into the yard, she was distressed to see her ruined garden. She let out a sob that chased the sparrows from the trees, and the wind rose from the sea, filled with stinging salt. Martha grabbed Faith's hand and surprised her by stabbing her with the small paring knife she'd used to cut down the stalks that now lay in shambles. 2 drops of black blood fell onto the ground, burning through the grass. I don't remember that she stabbed her hand. That's pretty fucked up. Why'd she do that? Martha Chase is a biatch. She got what she
That
deserved.
cunt Martha Chase.
God, Martha Chase. Page 274. Finney went in, and Finney was Faith's friend, right? That was trying to save her from Martha Chase. He went in even though salt water was bad for his boots. He turned the lady over, but it seemed she was no longer alive. Page 277. She breathed in the chill morning air, the salt stinging her lungs, and she might have forgiven Martha for her wrongdoings, but she could not forget that she'd been robbed of 5 years of her life. Yo, she kidnapped Faith for 5 years? I don't remember
That's
that.
a long time. Yeah, a lot
That
of
is a
a
long
lot of
time.
growing up.
Oh my God.
Bitterness.
Wow.
We forget, but we never forgive.
Yeah. I don't remember it being that long. That's crazy. Page 282. Faith put down salt around the garden as she spoke words Hannah had taught Maria to keep unwelcome pests out of a garden. It was a Latin spell, and it sounded otherworldly, spoken here in the flatlands. Coming from Cornwall, Maud knew something about the nameless art. She most certainly could spot a witch. As soon as the spell was cast, the rabbits moved on to Maud's neighbor's place, a good 10 miles away. And Maud was the woman that Finney brought Faith to, right? To kind of like, not when she was like escaping Martha Chase, they
Yeah,
kind
like a
of
safe
like,
house. Was it his like
eh,
auntie?
I don't remember who she was to him, but yeah, she was like a safe space for Faith to
Yeah.
like kind of hang out until they or make sure the coast is clear, I guess. And then 284, this is a passage about the smelling salts. So Faith was drowning in the black mirror, going deeper and deeper. She held her breath. She peered through the murk of the muddy currents. She had come to the river of hell, a dark bottomless canal that was filled with bodies and those who could not swim. Do you think okay, so this was the black mirror that she kind of went into. She was scrying, right? But this river of hell, this bottomless canal filled with bodies who could not swim, that sounds a lot like her whole Black Mirror experience reminds me a lot of like what we talked about in Leech Lake. A bottomless canal, and we don't know how many bodies are floating at the bottom of that lake because of people who couldn't swim.
Right. Oh my God.
So, Faith might have never surfaced. She might have been trapped there inside her mind, drowning in that cold, brackish place, if Maud Carty hadn't grasped her arm and firmly pulled her away from the table. That's enough, girl, Maud said. Let's get you back here. Faith gasped, and when she did, she spat out river water.
Ooh, that's cool.
So maybe she was transported to Leech Lake during this whole little scrying episode.
But you brought her
It
back
says
with salt, right?
Maud went off to retrieve her smelling salts so she might revive the child. She returned to find that Faith was dripping wet, a pool of black water around her feet. Whatever she was, whoever she was, Maud knew she was powerful. On page Oh my god, wait. So at the end of this book, who was it that got thrown into Leech Lake tied to a chair? Was it Faith or was it Maria?
It was Faith.
It was Faith. So was she predicting in this instance her own people attempting to kill her?
Yeah. Foreshadowing.
Yeah, so she was dripping wet in a pool of black water around her feet. So I think she was kind of scrying and
Seeing the future for her.
seeing her own
So was
attempt.
this an actual this is an actual black mirror. So is this the black mirror that Isabel uses for the kids to see
Yeah, I
their
think it
fate?
gets passed down through the lineage.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's how Vincent also sees his own death. So page 288. Faith climbed down from the wagon and raced to her mother, and Maria hugged her close. Her child smelled of salt, for she was still a girl of the flatlands, sunburned and wild. Yet in her mother's arms she was a child again. On page 289, he, talking about Finny, couldn't help but wonder if she cried out at the moment. She fell to the marsh below, and worse, if she'd still been alive when they left her there. That was the thing that haunted him. When he'd gone to peer down into the shallows, the woman was face down, her gray dress and bonnet soaked with salt water, unmoving. And I guess he went back to see Martha Chase if she was still laying there, right? On page 290, what's done is done, Faith had told him when at last she scrambled back onto the carriage seat beside him, her boots and dress soaked, her hair streaked with white salt. He looked at her.
Savage.
Yeah, that is so savage.
What's done is done.
Let's move on.
Uh-huh.
He looked at her and nodded and knew it was likely they had killed someone.
Finny is a ride or die.
I guess so. Page 296. Faith and Keeper walked side by side, completely at ease with each other. Maria had grown dizzy with emotion, but fortunately Jack Finney brought out smelling salts to revive her. They love these smelling salts.
Have you ever smelled them?
No.
They're rough.
Are they?
Elias had some for some reason. I don't know why. But like if you can get your hands on some and you've had like a kind of like a woohoo night, that shit'll
Yeah.
pop you back into
Really?
reality. Oops, there goes gravity.
What the fuck? All right. Good to know. You'll be you'll be fine, he told her, but she wasn't as certain. It was a shock to see someone come back from the great unknown. What was gone could return, but not necessarily as it was,
Boom.
like the resurrection spell. That's right.
Consequences.
That's right. Page 307. Often Faith sat on the stairs, listening in when women came to see her mother. This seems to be a reoccurring theme with these Owens women. They like to eavesdrop on those stairs.
Ooh, they like a
right?
good tea. Mhm.
Right. So Faith sat on the stairs listening in when women came to see her mother to ask for charms and cures. Maria avoided love as best as she could, but when women came crying when they felt they had been destroyed, she gave in. One of these cures mentioned in this passage, and to break a simple hex, one must use salt, coconut oil, lavender, lemon juice, and lemon verbena. And you know what that kind of sounds like? You know what that sounds like? That sounds like a midnight margarita. Because you have the lime, the
Oh, yeah.
coconut,
Lemon juice.
the lemon, the salt. I mean, she threw some lavender in there, but Barbados lime is just a thing. So, you know, that island lime, the aunts are getting all of their alcoholic antics from Maria's grimoire.
Antics. Their
she
knowledge.
passed
Yeah, the
down-
pass down. of
Passed down
knowledge.
the line, because all the stuff that she learned was from the islands. That was like when I went on that cruise and I brought you back that tipsy cake, the chocolate.
The video of us eating is like sound effects are so
Yo,
crazy.
that cake was so freaking good. I want
It
more of
was
that
good. I was like, I gotta slow down.
cake. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll be drunk off this cake in
That was
2
my
seconds.
birthday cake.
That was your birthday cake. Oh, your birthday month. Your birthday's coming up. I'll give you another cake. I'll mail it to you.
Thank you.
Okay, page 307. So there were magical items for sale at many of the markets, often hidden behind the counter or found in the back room or kept under cloths. Most residents did not trust doctors, who were often unschooled and lost more patients than they saved, using worthless remedies: saltpeter, tinctures of distilled powdered human bone, used as a cure-all, a false remedy that was called skull moss, a plant grown from the remains of violent criminals who had been hanged, which was inserted into a patient's nostrils and was said to staunch bleeding. Verbena?
Fun. So
Staunch
cool.
bleeding and stop fainting and fatigue. Folk medicine was far less dangerous than the work of medical doctors. Practitioners of the nameless art were held in high regard when it came to their talents and their knowledge. And that's kind of like the conversation we had on the snake handler, the rattlesnake weed episode, right? When we were talking about the Appalachian magic and all the folk healers of the Appalachian Trail. Most of the townspeople didn't trust the doctors on the Appalachian Trail. They went to folk healers or granny witches, right?
People they knew in their community.
Exactly.
They trusted them.
Right, right. 317. Another man, even a good man, would have left her to fend for herself in Gravesend. Finney was more than decent, and therefore he deserved more than silver. Faith knew he had dreams of Martha chasing after Martha Chase chasing after.
He's got PTSD from
That's
killing
why her
somebody.
name is Martha Chase, because she loves the chase. Her white bonnet flying into the air. He'd given up salt, for it reminded him of the air that day, which had been so salty and blue. Page 327. Anyone who had the sight and the ability to see inside Faith to her core would see the damage there, the iron wound, the nights in a locked room, the open window, the cemetery in Gravesend, the salty land and the seabirds in the sky, the loneliness, the bitter taste in her mouth, the father who never showed himself, the mother who wished to believe that was all well with her daughter when there was a crack and everything in the world was coming apart. Faith would be ready for magic when she said she was ready, not when her mother allowed it. She had said yes to magic years ago in the Flatlands, with the salt stinging her eyes so that she almost cried. Not that she had the ability to do such a thing, not then and not now. On page 342, this is the last passage about the salt in Magic Lessons. Though the minister's wife did not believe in magic, she said nothing when Maria poured a line of salt along the window ledge and hung the brass bell above the door, or when she dressed the child in a clean blue nightdress. And this was when Maria was trying to save that little girl, Anik? Anik? Yeah, and that was the last.
That's so much salt.
That is a
There's
lot of
one
salt.
more book to go. Page 10 in Book of Magic. Perhaps if you were lucky, one of the aunts would grant them an elixir stored in the pantry or in the greenhouse, well out of Sally's sight. Star tulip to decipher dreams, blue beads for protection, garlic, salt, and rosemary to dispel evil, or the most sought after cure, love potion number 9. Page 13. Ever since childhood, she'd been convinced that the dark brand of bad luck followed at her heels, a wicked spell she couldn't diffuse, not with sage or garlic or salt. Garlic and salt, always in these stories. So tasty. It was after her. There was no doubt about it. The Owen's curse stalked her even though she was determined to avoid magic.
So I guess that's talking about Sally.
Yeah, it's like doing everything correct in your life, like living healthy, eating healthy, not, doing anything bad, and you still die. You don't know what is going to take you out in the end. You can do everything right and it's still going to find you. Fate's going to find you.
Was this in reference to after we find out that Gary had passed in the beginning of that book?
That's a good question. This is page 13. I guess so.
Yes. So that's early on. So yeah, maybe maybe it's like reiterating like, okay, well, Gary died again. Another guy died.
I saw a TikTok. Somebody in the TikTok said we have to have Aiden Quinn back, and I wanted to write like, oh, if they're sticking to the books, don't get too attached.
Yeah, really. And I wonder how they're gonna approach that one.
I don't know. I love him.
If I can put in my little intuitive feelers. If I can picture how that movie's gonna start out, it's gonna start out as Sally being depressed again that Gary is gone.
I think it's gonna start out at a funeral.
Yeah.
Like that's like in Gilmore Girls, they start out with the grandpa.
Kind of mirroring the start of the first Practical Magic, like when Maria is on the gallows and like all the from above with all of the Puritans in their black outfits.
Should we
we should write this movie. Why did they hire us?
I don't know. All right, page 67. Vincent had wanted to get as far away from his old life as possible, and he succeeded. Sometimes when he woke and he had no idea where he was, not until he looked out at the flat blue sea. His residence was on the far side of salt marshes, past the village of Lafayette, in an old stucco house where the ivy grew wild in the garden, and every room was laden with sun. Page 82. Franny used to crouch on the water's edge with an offering of salt, which was said to draw such creatures to the shallows. So she's trying to get the sea creature to come to her.
Yeah, we must have missed that one in the Leech Lake episode too, because I
Sorry,
don't
y'all.
remember reading that
That
one either.
episode was great. I don't care.
Yeah. So they're luring this sea serpent, this Leviathan creature to the lake's surface using the salt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Franny's doing this at the beginning. I'm wondering why she's doing this. So, in 93, Kylie had once overheard her aunts discussing that a black aura meant death and destruction and danger, wickedness in a world where there had previously been none. When this happened, an individual must place salt on her windowsill and in the four corners of her house. Now, a black cloud rose up toward the ceiling of Kylie's dorm room, and she didn't intend to search for packets of salt. She didn't believe in the curse. Why should she?
Page 105. Miss Hardwick passed out at her desk. She often fainted when a dip occurred in her blood sugar before she could leave for the Black Rabbit and have her drink with a platter of fries. And this is the lady that worked at the library, right?
Dude, that's hilarious to visualize. Just like your librarian, like, oof,
Yo,
passed out at her desk.
you know
Let me
who
get
I
that girl some
imagine?
sugar.
You know who I imagine as Miss Hardwick? That's my Grandma Joan. That's my Grandma Joan. She's closing up shop at the library and she's going right to the bar.
Grandma Joan.
Are you kidding me?
I love it.
She took me to see Sister Act, okay, in the movie theater, and then right after we went to the bar.
That sounds amazing. When
And
do we do that?
she got me a plate because she used to babysit us, like, during the summer when my mom was at work. And yeah, she would take us to the movies. She loved her Whoopi Goldberg, so we had to see Sister Act. And then she would go to her local watering hole. Doc Donahue's was the spot.
Doc
And
Donahue.
Doc Donahue's was the spot, and they had the best hamburgers with those big steak fries with the garlic pickles. Oh my God, the food there was so freaking good. And then she would just like shoot the shit with the bartender, have her little highball at noon, and
And that sounds amazing.
with her grandkids sitting next to her. So funny.
Good memory.
That's like one of my core memories. Are you kidding me? Ugh, God rest my Grandma Joan. I miss her. So Miss Hardwick sometimes forgot to eat lunch, and the results were such spells. Is she me? She just forgets to eat.
Don't go passing out.
I don't get to that point, but sometimes I get so busy. I'm like, I gotta eat something. Jet had swiftly taken hold of the Owens' first aid kit, which included garlic and ginger and smelling salts. Again, with the smelling salts. So page 125. Agnes packed a bag with supplies they might need to ensure they were safe. Red thread, sage, salt, lavender, red and black ink in iridescent glass jars, a length of rope, thin sheets of red paper bound in red leather, long sharp pins. It's always best to be prepared, she advised. And that's Agnes. Isn't that the family friend of the lady from Magic Lesson? Durant. Catherine Durant? Is that her name?
Catherine and Agnes Durant?
Maybe?
Aren't they related?
Yeah, I think Agnes is a she's of that
Descendant.
bloodline. Descendant. Yeah, exactly. Page 172. So there's two mentions in this passage. Sally carried lavender and sage in her coat pockets, and before leaving the pub, she'd taken a shaker from the table and sprinkled salt on the soles of her shoes. She was purposeful, and yet, despite all of her intended protection, including a dress hemmed with blue thread, she grew unmoored by the time she reached the door on Roseheart Mews. As it turned out, puddles had washed the salt from the soles of her shoes, and the lavender and sage had mostly fallen out to sprinkle the road when she darted across.
She's not wanting to do magic, and then she's trying to do magic, and the magic's like, we don't want you now.
Yeah.
You can't just turn your nose up at us and expect us to come at your beck and call.
That is absolutely true. Yeah. Good point. Page 195. By now, Antonia's head was pounding. As the bread was served, a plate of salted butter that was left for them began to melt. Antonia pushed it away. That old wives' tale about butter melting when someone was in love was utter nonsense. And that was what she was falling in love with. Ariel, she was a cop, right?
Was like their lawyer?
Lawyer. Yeah, I think you're right. Page 198. Elderly women were respected and a little feared, for many had retained the old knowledge and held on to that bit of power. They could protect themselves, leaving salt outside their doors and planting lavender for luck. On page 245, there's two mentions in this passage. Sally and Jillian and Franny were given the haunted rooms. They happened to be the biggest and most well furnished. Of course they were. Maximalist, hello, Victorian ghosts.
Jerusha.
Do ghosts besides Victorians exist? Because
I've never met a
seen-
2000s ghost.
Exactly.
Just blast and hoobastank.
That's so true. Yo, I have to tell you, right now, I have a comment that's going viral on our Magnolia Street account.
I saw that. Could you? It's the what? Careless Whisper? Is that what it is?
No, it's Kiss from a Rose by
Kiss from a
Seal.
Rose.
There's a video on Instagram that I commented on from our Magnolia Street Instagram account. And this girl keeps playing Kiss from a Rose because there's a ghost in her apartment that just wants her to keep playing this song. And every time she plays the song, her like flashlight flickers. It's like vibing out to the song.
Yeah.
And my comment was, imagine being a ghost imagine being a ghost and your unfinished business is that you just want to hear Kiss from a Rose by Seal on repeat. And my comment has like up to like
getting
500
phone notifications. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Sometimes like when my comments start going viral like that, because I've had a couple of them do that over the course of time, I'm like, should I delete my comment? Because like I don't want to get these notifications, but I'm enjoying all the likes.
Totally. Yeah.
Like, why can't my actual content get all these likes? People are
Exactly.
like my stupid ass offhand comment. But that made me think of this because, yeah, I was like, there's no 2000s ghosts or 90s ghosts exist, but I guess they do. They're coming back to listen to Kiss from a Rose on repeat, so I don't know. That's so funny.
My face hurts.
So, yeah, Sally, Jillian, and Franny, they have the haunted rooms, okay? The most biggest and most well-furnished rooms, even if most people refuse to stay the night. If you see any figures, throw salt in their direction, said Jessie Wilkie, the manager of the pub who had taken a break from her duties as a waitress in order to help them with their luggage. She was in her mid-20s and the youngest of the staff, except for a boy called George, who came to help on the weekends, putting out the trash and carrying in the boxes of groceries. If the salt doesn't work, then say be gone 3 times. My granny told me when I was a girl that should do the trick. On page 272, Antonia hadn't time to fix a crust. Oh, this was when she was baking the pie for the Reverend. She hadn't time to fix a crust, but luckily there were some packets of saltine crackers in the back of the pantry cabinet, and she used them to line the pie plate, then made the filling, going a little too heavy on the cinnamon she feared. On page 273, Antonia slipped on some oven mitts and took out okay. Oh, wait. I thought she was like, whoop, like she slipped on some oven mitts like on the floor, but no, she slipped them on her hands and took out the wretched looking pie. But despite the fact that it was tilted with the crust that was salty and pale, the pie smelled delicious.
This is the bring a daughter back pie.
Yes, it's like apple, right? The apple pie?
Apple pie.
Apple pie? On page 298, Jillian eyed the purple black vegetables in the old sink where some unused eggplants soaked in a briny salt mixture. There was no running water and jugs had to be carried from the well house. On page 314, 2 men in their 80s who'd taken refuge in the bar now collapsed, and Jillian, who come down for some lunch, was ministering to them, demanding the kitchen staff bring her lemons and ginger and salt and hot water. She knew a curse when she saw one. And then page 339, lastly, this is the last of the book mentions, she began and didn't stop until every spell and cure had been copied down. Wood avens to cure toothache, black horehound for nausea and monthly cramps, salted leaves to heal the bite of a dog, elderberry and cherry bark for coughs, dill seed for hiccups, hawthorn to calm a frantic heart, and nettle, which made a fine soup, and ladled out to treat burns, infections, and inflammations. So that's it. That's all for the books.
That is a lot for the books. I was so sorry because I was cracking up when you were reading, like, just if you see anything funny, just throw salt at it. And I was just laughing, like picturing us going through the Wayside Inn and like just like throwing salt at anything. That's actually a really good weapon to have in your pocket. Could you imagine getting salt in your eyes? Like,
oh my god, if you're a ghost,
yeah,
that shit would fuck
just
you
a
up for
person?
centuries. Yeah. It's like Jerusha, is that you? Is that you?
I want to go back there.
Gillum?
That place was beautiful.
Gillum, the hobgoblin, is that you?
Gillum. Oh my
Right,
god.
That is all for the books and the movie. So I guess with that, we're going to take a quick break. And when we return, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes and the salt and pepper of all the salt and the pepper.
Nice.
So stick around. We'll be right back. Hey, little witches. Justina here, calling all Practical Magic fans and music lovers. This fall, get ready for something truly spellbinding from the Stinas. Christina and I started Magnolia Street Podcast as a way to share our original music inspired by our favorite movie, Practical Magic. We've been hard at work in the recording studio since September, brewing up our 5-song debut EP, Magnolia Street Volume 1.
At the house on Magnolia Street, would you go down to Magnolia Street where the wisteria grow wild? At the house of magic and mystery, so would you go down to Magnolia Street?
You want the inside scoop on our music and the stories behind each song, join our Rose tier on Patreon for just $8 a month and dive into exclusive content from our songisodes. Plus, bonus content from our highly anticipated upcoming EP. On there, you'll find lyric sheets, original demos, behind-the-scenes videos from the studio, blog posts, production notes, and more. Don't miss out on the magic. Keep up to date with us on our Instagram at Magnolia Street Podcast for all of our music news and be a part of our musical journey. The Stinas are bringing practical magic to life, one song at a time, right here on Magnolia Street.
You didn't go down to Magnolia Street. Magnolia Street.
Hey little witches, the Stinas here. If you've been listening to our podcast for a while, you would know how much we love using the Practical Magic Inner Witch Oracle deck by Grounded by the Moon.
And now we want to share the magic of Grounded by the Moon with you, our listeners. Joseph Benitez Egerton, the creator behind Grounded by the Moon, would like to offer this very special 10% off discount to all who wish to experience the magic of his Practical Magic themed tarot and oracle decks.
But that's not all. He also creates other divination tools like tarot workbooks, deck bags and altar cloths, pendulum kits, oil blends, cleansing sprays, smoke wands, teas, and ritual kits.
And let's not forget about his custom handcrafted all-natural soy candles, where every candle is hand-poured and personally infused and charged under the light of the moon. They even come with a crystal.
And did we mention all of the ingredients in the candles are ethically sourced?
All of Joseph's offerings are just so magical. So go visit groundedbythemoon.com and use the coupon code Magnolia Magic for 10% off your entire order at checkout.
That's MAGNOLIA MAGIC. So get your discount today. Hey, we're the Stinas, and you're listening to Magnolia Street Podcast. Welcome back, everybody.
Is there a salt card?
There is a salt card. Hold on, let me get out my Inner Witch Oracle by Grounded by the Moon. And by the way, I don't know if it's still going to be going on by the time this episode airs. This episode comes out next.
The 16th.
We're recording this Thursday, May 8th. What does this come out? The 16th?
The 16th. Mm-hmm.
I don't know when Joseph's birthday is, but happy early birthday, Joseph. He posted a thing yesterday, 50% off all the items on his Etsy shop. So he's running a really big sale right now, so go check that out. The link is in his bio if you go to @GroundedByTheMoon on his Instagram or groundedbythemoon.com. I'm sure there's a link over to his Etsy from there. I'm not sure if this sale is going on his website too. I think it might just be the Etsy, but check that out. He does have a good sale going on in honor of his birthday is also this month. So
happy birthday. Is he a Taurus or a Gemini?
that's a good question. I don't remember.
He feels like a Taurus. He feels very like in his element and with his things,
Right.
creating.
My mother's birthday is also this month. She's a Taurus.
What's her date?
She's the 19th. And Grandma Joan.
Grandma
RIP.
Joan.
They were born on the same day.
The B day.
Yeah, my grandmother gave birth to my mama on my grandmother's birthday.
And they had to share.
And then they had to share. Yeah. That is so weird. That is the second member of my family born on the same day. Gina and my goddaughter Samantha are also born on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
In October, though. All right. So, hold on. Let me find my salt. Actually, there is a salt card. Okay. So, it's actually spilled salt. Okay.
Okay.
So, the keyword on this card is release. And this is the image of the card. It's just a salt shaker tipping over, spilling out that salt. The keyword is release and confront. If spilled salt shows up in your reading, it's telling you to be aware of the evils that may be trying to creep into your life. Take time to confront the issue or person, if it's a person. Don't allow yourself to be held down to people or things that are not beneficial to you. Take control, confront, and release these energies from your life. Salt has great magical benefits. It's a natural connection to the element earth, which we talked about on our earth episode a couple weeks ago. Go listen to that. And also the witch's go-to for protection. You definitely want this in your cabinet. Utilize the power of this natural magical tool with infused salt in hand, cast over your shoulder, your left shoulder, precisely as Sally says, right? To rid this unwanted evil evil from your life. And when you do this, you could say, blessed be, right?
Simple as that.
Blessed be, simple as that. And that is the mantra. That's the simple mantra on this card, is just blessed be.
You might know, what movie or TV show was it I just remember a girl taking a Morton's salt box and shaking it and then just like wrapping it around. You know what it is? What is that?
It's Allison in Hocus Pocus.
Thank you. Okay.
She does that to keep away the Sanderson sisters, right?
That's
Because
right.
they're like flying over her.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, that's not going to protect you or something like that.
I know, I've seen that.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking of that too when doing this episode. I was like, what the fuck movie is that? I had the same like, oh shit, I know that scene.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So that is the salt card. Again, go
Great.
get your 50% off discount over on groundedbythemoon.com and his Etsy. And moving right along, we're going to get into some history now, right? Because there's so much history and lore and superstitions surrounding salt because it really is a staple in any witch's apothecary. And it's so mundane, right? It's like the most practical of, I guess, elements, like table salt. It is an element on the periodic table, NaCl.
Your white candle, your clear quartz.
Yeah.
So because it's so ancient and vast, this is just an overview. I know we dig deep, but we had so many book mentions. I think we're gonna just keep this nice and simple this go around, because we do have a lot of folklore and a lot of practical magic uses for you. So this is, do your own research, but this is a little bit of brief history about salt.
Yeah. So jumping right in, long before salt was something we reached for in the kitchen, it was sacred, essential, and everywhere. It was woven into rituals, offerings, and even in the afterlife. And this starts all the way back in Egypt, okay? So during the New Kingdom around 1550 BCE, the process of mummification reached its peak. It wasn't just about preserving a body, it was a ritual of transformation. They used natron, Natron, a kind of salt collected from the edges of dried out lakes, to dehydrate and purify the dead. The heart was left in place because Egyptians believed it was the seat of knowledge and emotion, but the brain, toss that right out. They don't need that shit. They don't need the brain because the heart is where the knowledge is. So for 40 days, the body would be packed in this salt blend. Think of like dry rubbing your London broil or something.
London
It's a
broil.
nice little dry rub for the heart, okay?
Dry that shit out.
If you will. So for 40 days, the body would be packed with this salt blend. The cavities were filled with linen, herbs, sawdust, and even straw. Then resin would coat the skin. And the body was wrapped head to toe with charms and amulets tucked inside, sometimes a golden mask. I don't know, maybe they would put this over the eyes of
Death
the
mask.
mummified corpse. And this whole process took about 70 days. Okay. Now, if you couldn't afford the royal treatment, they still used salts, or at least what the desert could offer. Many bodies were laid directly into the sand and preserved that way. It wasn't that fancy, but it did the trick if you didn't have the funds to do the whole salt thing, right? Meanwhile, in ancient Rome, salt played a different role, one tied to purity and protection. Roman priests used a sacred mixture of salt and flour called molasasa as part of their offerings to the gods. They sprinkled it on animals before sacrifice, believing it purified both the body and the soul. Salt also showed up in everyday rites. It was part of blessing ceremonies, warding off malevolent forces. And there it is. And keeping homes ritually clean. The symbolism of salt as something incorruptible, something that couldn't rot, made it powerful. And that's the thing about salt. It doesn't rot. Like, salt never goes bad, right?
Just gets clumpy sometimes from the humidity.
It gets clumpy, but it doesn't
Some
like...
rice in there.
Yeah. You know, back in the day, I always wonder why they put rice in salt shakers. Like, I was like, why would they do that? That's gross. Like, why? That's so weird. It's so weird. But yeah, it prevents it from clumping. And they also say to put your phone in like a thing of rice when
That's true.
you get water in it.
Done that. It works.
Yeah. Does it work?
It does work.
Did you know there's also a frequency that you can play? There's a video on YouTube, a certain frequency. I forget how many hertz it is. You know who told me about this? Molly. I was like, how do you know about this? She must drop her phone in water very often. I don't freaking know. She's like a kid.
Yeah.
But she showed me this. She like was like, here, look, it's on YouTube. Cause like we went to a store one day and like it was raining and I dropped my phone in a puddle and I was like, ah, shit. She was like, here, just play this video on YouTube. The frequencies of the hertz of this will make the water go out of your phone. And I was like, it worked.
That's so cool. Okay. Who
I
knew?
guess the frequency like shakes the phone, the internal organs of the phone, and
Do
then
a
it
certain
shakes
thing.
the water out. Yeah.
That's cool.
Isn't that
That's cool.
crazy? It's like a cat's purr. Like a certain
Yeah,
amount
yeah.
of hertz like fixes broken bones and shit.
I saw one. I'll have to find it for you. I'm gonna send it to you because I think it was like 140 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I had my headphones in and I was sitting down and I played in my ear and I literally, like, my eyes like rolled back in my head and I started like nodding off. It was the
What?
weirdest, like my whole body had this reaction to it.
Wow.
It was
Wait,
very soothing, like calming.
was
I
it like
sent it to Caitlin
was
and
it
she
like a
was like,
tuning fork or was it like a meditation singing bowl or something?
no, it was just
Pitch?
like a pitch. Yeah,
Oh,
just like a
wow.
computer pitch.
Okay.
And I sent it to Caitlin. I was like, tell me if you have a reaction to this, because I
Uh-huh.
fucking did. It was
Yeah.
so weird. I'm gonna send it
Was
to you.
it like, you know how like you're sitting around and you get that like like ringing in one ear? Is it kind of like
It
that kind of
is
pitch?
kind of like that.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Have you ever driven past a deer deterrent alarm?
A deer deterrent alarm? No, I
Yeah,
have
it
not.
like makes like a high pitch like frequency sound. It's like
Oh,
we have a person that has one of those around the corner from our house, and every time we drive by it, it makes my ears go crazy. I'm like, I hate that fucking sound.
okay, it says it's 417 hertz. So
Okay.
I will send it to you. Put your
Yeah,
headphones in.
send me that. I'll see if I
I
have a
loved
reaction.
it.
I
It
will
says
let you
this
know.
frequency blocks your brain from overthinking on a cellular level. And I was like, it just gave me an out of body experience. I'll be back.
I'll be back. BRB.
BRB. All right.
Bookmark that link. All
Yeah.
right. So yes, priests used salt in all different ways. They also use it in, don't they use that in holy water? Like holy water is salt water basically, isn't it?
I'm not gonna lie, I have tasted it. I'm like, what's
Yeah.
making this so special? And I'm
It's
like,
salty.
is it just salty because many people have put their fingers in it?
I hope not. Because I've tasted that shit. Gross. Maybe I have no idea. But I think isn't salt what makes the holy water holy? Like
I
they're
have no
blessing.
idea.
Well, the salt, it's like I should have put I don't even think I looked into holy water for this episode. I should have looked into that.
Well, when we have our water element episode, might be
Okay.
good to talk about.
All right, yeah, true. But yeah, I'm wondering like, yeah, what makes holy water holy? And it makes sense if it's the salt because the salt does away with evil
Demons.
demons, exactly. And then I'm sure the priest blesses it on top of it, so that's what makes it holy, officially holy. But
Are you watching the Bachelor? Not the Bachelor, like the Cardinals, the conclave.
I'm not watching it, but I'm getting all the commentary from that one guy on TikTok that does. Have you come across that guy yet?
No, I haven't, but I'm rooting for the Filipino guy.
I'm rooting for Pizza Bala because
Oh yeah, the pizza bala.
come on, I mean I'm Italian. I gotta root for the Pizza Bala. Did you see? There's a AI video going around of Pizza Bala and Luigi Mangione. Most fucking unhinged.
I have
thing.
not.
I'll have to send you that
Oh,
video
my
if I can
Lord.
find it again.
Okay.
So fucking crazy. But anyway, going back to the Bible,
Mhm.
the Bible, even in the Bible, salt carries deep meaning. In Genesis, Lot's wife famously looks back at the burning city of Sodom and is turned into a pillar of salt. And in the New Testament, Jesus tells his followers, "Ye are the salt of the earth." It wasn't just poetic, it was a call to be preservers of goodness, of truth, to carry a kind of spiritual grit that could withstand rot. And maybe that's why the salt doesn't ever go bad. And salt wasn't just a seasoning, it was sacred, a substance that preserved flesh, bounded covenants, and marked the line between purity and decay. Across centuries and civilizations, from Egypt's golden tombs to Rome's sacred altars, from desert sands to temple offerings, to people being turned into pillars, I don't know, salt carried weight. It wasn't just useful, it was spiritual. But magic isn't only made in temples and texts. Sometimes it's in what we do without thinking, like the little habits passed down in kitchens, whispered on porches, stitched into the backs of babies' clothes. Let's step out of the history books and into the world of folklore, where salt isn't ceremonial, it's protective, it's practical, and just a little bit superstitious. And I think this is where salt really gets its reputation. So we're going to talk a little bit about the salt circles, spilled salt, old stories, wives' tales, the ones where something unseen is always just beyond the threshold.
These are my favorite. I love a superstition.
Yeah.
That's why we do this whole show. Let's talk about the folklore and the superstition and the kitchen magic and all the ways salt has held power in people's lives long before we started calling it witchcraft. You've probably heard the old saying, if you spill salt, you're supposed to throw a pinch over your left shoulder. But why? Why the left shoulder? Well, in European folklore, it was believed the devil himself lingered just over that shoulder. I'm guessing because like the right hand was considered holy or pure and the left was considered bad, maybe.
Isn't that what does Alice call it the left-handed path? Or
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
good way to put
Yeah,
it.
that makes sense. And that's also why a lot of people are right-handed, because if you were left-handed, your teachers, I think this happened to my dad.
Hmm.
Your teachers would take the pencil out of your left hand and move it to your right hand. They're like, "No, the left hand is the wrong hand. You have to move it over to your
I've
right hand."
heard people getting like hit in the hands or their
Rulers.
hands tied behind their back, so they had
Right.
to, yeah.
Yeah. They would correct your writing hand because the left hand was the hand of evil.
Which makes sense. So the devil is on that side. He's just waiting for the moment of weakness. So throwing salt over it, this was your way of blinding him, keeping misfortune at bay with one quick flick of the fingers.
Next
Some
time I throw salt over my left shoulder, I'm just gonna picture the devil going like this. Oh, my eyes. Just like,
again,
God damn it, again?
some folks say this goes back to the Last Supper. Legend has it that Judas spilled the salt, and ever since then, spilled
Oh.
salt has meant bad luck or even betrayal. Then there's the classic, the salt circle, right?
Mhm.
If you've ever watched Supernatural, you've seen it done. It's in lots of supernatural movies. It's a perfect ring of salt around the body or a candle or a bed. But it's not just for dramatic TV. Salt circles have been used in all sorts of magical traditions to create sacred space. Wicca ceremonial magic, even in some hoodoo practices, use it to keep spirits or bad energy out. And it's not just in the Western world. In Japan, sumo wrestlers toss salt into the ring before a match to purify the space, to cast out negativity. That's magic too, even if no one's calling it that. Older homes, especially in the South and Appalachia, it wasn't uncommon to see salt poured along windowsills or scattered at thresholds. People might say it was for witches, but that's what it was: protection, grounding, a quiet little ward you didn't talk about, just like hanging a horseshoe or placing a Bible open to Psalms 91. Some traditions even protect babies with salt, sewing little pouches into their clothing or tucking it under the mattress to guard against the evil eye. And then there was witches' bottles, little glass jars buried under doorsteps or near fireplaces, filled with nails, hair, maybe a drop of urine, blood, but always salt. That mix was supposed to draw in any curses or harmful intent and trap it, kind of like a spiritual fly trapper. Fly paper. Fly trapper. Same thing. In the Middle Ages, salt was even used as a kind of test. If someone refused to eat salt at the table, folks got suspicious. It
Oh.
was thought that witches or demons
Demons.
couldn't tolerate salt. It was too pure, too binding. And in some areas, salt was placed on the tongue to force the truth out or to reveal a liar.
Oh, shit.
Salt also played a role in hospitality. In many Slavic cultures, offering bread and salt to a guest was more than a polite gesture. It was a sacred one of saying, "You're safe here. You're one of us." And of course, we can't forget salt and the evil eye.
Yeah.
In Greek, Turkish, and Middle Eastern cultures, salt is used in cleansing rituals when someone is thought to be cursed. Sometimes it is thrown into a fire, sometimes dissolved in water and poured down the drain. But the idea is the same. It absorbs and it draws out and it protects. Wherever you look in the world, salt shows up at the thresholds, the cracks, the crossings, the in-betweens, the liminal spaces. It guards the doors and it holds the line. And maybe that's why in magic we still reach for it, because salt is simple, it's honest, and it knows how to keep things out or keep them in, right? And in some folk traditions and superstitions, running out of salt, especially for a witch, is considered bad luck. Salt is often associated with protection and cleansing, and its presence is believed to ward off those negative influences, including us witches, so used by and used against witches. Therefore, a witch running out of salt might be seen as a sign of vulnerability or weakening of their protective magic.
Symbolism and the spiritual meaning of salt. And when we talk about salt in magic, it's not just the physical substance we're working with, it's the symbolism, the spirit of it. Salt carries layers of meaning that go way beyond its use in a spell jar or sprinkled at a doorstep. First and foremost, salt is a symbol of purity. It doesn't rot, it doesn't spoil. In fact, it prevents decay. That made it sacred in ancient times, something incorruptible. In rituals across the world, from temple offerings of baptismal rites, salt represented a cleansing force, a way to purify not just the body, but the space, the energy. It's also a tool of protection, of drawing boundaries. You can use it to mark a circle, to line a doorway, to guard your dreams from whatever tries to creep in at night. Salt says, "This is the line, nothing crosses without my permission." That's why it shows up at thresholds, under beds, and in the corners of rooms. Even people who don't consider themselves magical still do this instinctively, like tossing it over your left shoulder after a spill. Salt is a gatekeeper. Then there's the symbolism of preservation versus desolation. Salt keeps food from spoiling, it preserves life, but too much salt, it scorches the earth, it makes it barren. Think about the phrase salting the earth, a tactic used after war to make sure nothing grows back. Salt can be a healer or a weapon, just like all the elements, right? We've talked about that on our Earth episode. We're going to talk about that in our upcoming other installments of our elemental series. But it could do either or. So it's a line of defense, but it also can be a tool of destruction.
I remember one of
And
the very first times when I was little and I threw up, it was because I ate a ton of the salt at the bottom of a pretzels bag. And
oh my
then I
God.
lay, like, you know how on the swing set, if you lay on your stomach and like you pretend you're flying,
Oh my God.
it came out then.
Oh my God. Just salt.
Just all salt and like bile.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
Yeah.
destruction, complete
Yeah.
destruction.
And so that's the duality that gives salt its power. It's both healing and hexing, a sacred purifier and a cursed ingredient. You can bless with it or you can bind with it. You can bathe in it or you can burn with it. Its energy depends on its intention, and that's what makes it so potent in magic. It's not passive, it responds to will. So maybe that's why shit went crazy and hit the fan in that Midnight Margaritas scene. So whether you're casting a circle, cleansing a room, or just salting your bathwater after a long week, and I love me a salt bath, remember, you're tapping into something ancient, something that knows how to protect, preserve, purify, but isn't afraid to burn a little if it has to. So some salts in religions throughout the world. One of the reasons that this superstition has been so enduring and widespread is that salt has long held an important place in religions of many cultures. In Brahmanic sacrifices and during festivals held by Semites, as well as the Greeks at the time of the new moon, salt was thrown into fire to make crackling noises. Ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans invoked gods with salt offerings. Some people think this to be the origin of holy water in Christianity. Okay, so that must be the origin of that. I was like, yeah, I wonder about that. In Aztec mythology, oh god, what the fuck is this word?
Oxahatl? Oxahatl.
Axolotl.
Axolotl on the stairs. Okay.
In Aztec mythology, Quetzalcoatl was a fertility goddess who presided over salt and salt water. Salt is an auspicious substance in Hinduism and is used in ceremonies like housewarmings and weddings. In Jainism, an offering of raw rice with a pinch of salt signifies devotion, and salt is sprinkled on a person's cremated remains before burial. Salt is believed to ward off evil spirits in Mahayana Buddhist tradition, and after a funeral, salt is thrown over the left shoulder to prevent evil spirits from entering the house. In Shinto, salt ritually purifies locations and people, and piles of salt are placed in dishes by the entrance of businesses to ward off evil and attract patrons. In the Old Testament, 35 verses mention salt. Some examples are Lot's wife was turned into a pillar of salt when she looked back at the Sodom and Gomorrah in Genesis 19:26 as they were destroyed. When the judge Abimelech destroyed Shechem, he is said to have sown salt on it, and that is in Judges 9:45. The book of Job mentions salt as a condiment, and that says, "Can that which is unsavory be beaten without salt? Or is there any taste in the white of an egg?" And that is
No.
Job chapter 6, verse 6. In the New Testament, 6 verses mention salt. Examples include, in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus referred to followers as the salt of the earth. The Apostle Paul encouraged Christians to, quote, "Let your conversations be always full of grace, seasoned with salt," end quote. And that is in Colossians 4:6. And then in Catholicism, salt is mandatory in the rite of the Tridentine Mass. I don't know what that is. And then salt is the third term, which includes an exorcism of the Celtic consecration or Gallican rite employed in church consecration. And it may be added to the water where it is customary in the rite of holy water.
A Tridentine Mass? Tridentine
Yeah.
Mass
Yeah, what is
is
that?
exclusively said in ecclesiastical Latin. So it's
Okay.
like a full Latin Mass.
Oh, all right. So in Judaism, it is recommended to have either a salty bread or to add salt to the bread if this bread is unsalted salted when doing kiddush or Shabbat. It is customary to spread some salt over the bread or to dip bread in a little salt when passing the bread around the table after the kiddush. To preserve the covenant between their people and God, Jews dip Sabbath bread in salt. And in Wicca, it's symbolic of the element earth. It also cleanses an aura of harmful and negative energy, and a dish of salt and one of water are on most altars, and salt is used in many different rituals. And I told you, we used a, I don't know if we had a thing, we might have had a thing of salt on our wedding altar, but we also used a big heart rose quartz
Mm-hmm.
for our earth element.
Your weapon.
Or my weapon
of
choice.
love.
Exactly. Avi can never leave me or I'll smack him over the head with it.
All right, now that we have explored salt symbolism and spiritual meaning, let's talk about how it actually shows up in magical practices. Because this isn't just a theory, this is where salt becomes a tool, a partner, a boundary line, a blessing. We're going to first start with types of salt and their properties. So in Vedic astrology, both the moon and Venus are associated with salt. The moon is related to salt due to its connection with water, the ocean. Salt is a mineral found in the largest quantities and it's the ocean. It's goddamn ocean. It's salty.
It's the goddamn ocean.
And the moon and the celestial body that governs tides and the watery element. Venus is associated with salt due to its connection with wealth. Okay, yes, I could see that. As salt was historically a valuable trade commodity. And Venus is the planet associated with love, pleasure, and luxury. In various mythologies, several goddesses are associated with salt. We talked about Quetzalcoatl, we think we're pronouncing it right. But in Greek mythology, Amphitrite is the goddess of the sea and Poseidon's wife. Her Roman counterpart is Salacia, also associated with salt water. Additionally, in ancient Mesopotamia mythology, Tiamat is the primordial goddess of salt and sea and the mother of the gods. Not all salt is created equal. Different kinds carry different energies depending on their origin and how you intend to use them. Sea salt is my go-to when I need that deep oceanic energy, that connection, something cleansing, elemental, and wild. It aligns with the tides, the moon, and intuition. Black salt is more of like the bouncer at the door. It's made by blending salt and ashes, charcoal, and even iron shavings used in banishing and protection work. Think warding off nasty energies, cutting spiritual cords, and drawing a hard line.
Black salt has a list of names, and if you're not on that list, you're not getting in.
It's double checking that list.
It's like, oh, Jimmy Angela, I'm sorry, you're not on this list. Who'd you
Get
say?
the fuck out.
What'd you say your name was? No,
You
you're
want to
not
fucking
on
go
here.
around back and fight?
Security.
Himalayan pink salt, on the other hand, is much gentler. It's often used in healing, especially around the heart chakra. It's grounding, loving, and restorative. And then there's Justina's favorite, Epsom salt, which is technically not a salt, but it's a mineral compound of magnesium sulfate. Still, its use in magical baths for like spiritual detox. It helps reset your energy field and eases that body and carries, that spirit that's worn thin. It'll help with that.
Yeah, Dr. Teal's is where it's at. That is my favorite. Is that the only brand of Epsom salt? I haven't heard of any other brand of Epsom salts, but that's the one that I always use. I love their eucalyptus scented one, and I also have their rose oil one, which is divine. It's lovely. I just recently took a eucalyptus one because I was in the garden this past week, and my sciatica. I love an Epsom salt bath, but I have also made so many of my own different types of salts, and we'll talk about this a little later on. But I've made bath salts, I've made salt scrubs, I've made altar salts, banishing salts. I've covered all my bases with all the salts. It's fun, and it's like a fun like craft project you can do when you get together with your girlfriends. You just like get some mason jars, and salt is cheap. You could get a fucking bunch of salt at the grocery store, and you could put your own shit in it, essential oils, herbs, whatever you want.
Yes.
And it's all salt. It all works the same,
Miss Lori has sent us rosemary salt before,
right.
and I love making a chive salt. Oh my God, I put that shit on everything. It smells divine, and it's green when it comes out.
You know what I got from, remember that snake song store I was telling you about in North Carolina? There's a little vial of, it's like steak seasoning. Like you can put it on poultry, fish, steak, whatever. It's called snake rub.
Oh, cool.
And it's literally like salt and like cayenne pepper and like garlic and onion powder. And it's like a whole bunch of shit. But like, it's so good. I had it on, I think I put it on my salmon the other night and it was really fucking good. Yeah. So salt, so versatile. You could use it in your bath and body regimens or you could use it in your food. It's just use it for
Oh,
everything.
and spell work.
Yeah, and spellwork, exactly. Spellwork too. We're gonna talk about cell salts right now. I've never heard of these. Have you heard
What's
of cell
this?
salts before?
No.
Okay, so I came across this. Cell salts, also known as Schussler cell salts, are inorganic mineral salts used in a form of alternative medicine called biochemic tissue salt therapy. They are believed to help the body's natural healing process by addressing mineral imbalances. Supposed uses include treating a variety of conditions like allergies, anxiety, cold symptoms, as well as addressing minor skin conditions, muscle aches, and stomach upset, according to EBSCO research starters. Cell salts satisfy mineral imbalances in the body, stimulating the body's natural healing process. When we lack these important cell salts, we are more vulnerable to common health concerns. By replenishing them, you are better prepared to treat illnesses and enjoy better overall wellness. So, homeopathstore.com. So, I guess there's a website that sells these cell salts.
To balance you out?
Yeah, and like you could choose them depending on your zodiac sign.
Okay. Take
So,
me
okay, so
away.
listen to this. So, cell salts and the zodiac. Astrology has long been considered an important part of medicine, from the early Greek physician Hippocrates, who regarded astrology as an essential piece of physician's knowledge. Till today, it is common practice in diverse cultures to consult the stars when choosing the best time for a medical procedure or making other critical health decisions. The
Caitlin
12
does this.
does she
Caitlin will
really?
do this. She will look at what the moon is doing and she will like schedule her appointments around or her haircut around. And I'm like, she hasn't been
Wow.
wrong. What I'm saying, people still do this today.
Right. I had a happenstance moment a few years ago where I think I was celebrating the Pisces moon or something like that. And I had like just so happened to get a pedicure like unintentionally because Pisces rules the feet.
Oh,
And I didn't know that. But then like I got a pedicure and then like I saw that like on a random meme on like
yeah,
Instagram.
yeah.
I was like, oh shit, I
Look at
just got a
you.
pedicure and it's Pisces season.
I love it.
So, the 12 zodiac signs offer a method adopted by many to identify which one or which group of the praised cell salts is especially important for a specific individual's mineral balance and overall well being. As Dr. Schussler's cell salts therapy, I guess that's the name of the brand of these cell salts that they're trying to sell here. This is not an ad. I just thought this was interesting, like how they pair different cell salts with different ailments and parts of the body that you need help with. So Dr. Schussler is this brand, and these cell salts, they gained popularity in the early 20th century. Practitioners noticed a connection between the birth month and the ailments most commonly suffered by their patients and the cell salts. Most of the modern understanding of the use of cell salts with astrology is based on the work of American physician Dr. George W. Carey, and he died in 1924. Known for being the first to declare that the human body is a, quote, chemical formula in operation. And his partner, so his partner was an astrologer, Inez Eudora Perry. And together they studied, published, and beautifully illustrated the relationship between the 12 cell salts and the zodiac signs.
Cool.
Talk about like a power couple.
Yeah,
Right?
that's cool.
So, cell salts and astrology absolutely go hand in hand, and a good way to start to improve your body's mineral balance is by taking the cell salt associated with your sun sign. The sun sign in the astrological sign is what most people are familiar with, and this helps you easily identify your so-called birth salt. It's like a birthstone, but a salt.
Yeah,
You
I like
know?
this. Okay.
It is believed to be needed and used most by the body. So, if you're a Capricorn, you need calc phos. PHOS. If you're an Aquarius, you need Nat More. Pisces, Fair Phos. And Aries, you need Cali Phos. If you're a Taurus, you need Nat Sulf. Is Caitlin's a Taurus?
Yeah.
I wonder if she knows about this. Do you think
I'll
she knows
ask
about
her.
it? Yeah. If you're a Gemini, Christina, you need Kalima.
Kalima, thank you. I was like, I wonder if she's gonna do that because that's the first thing I thought.
That's so funny.
Kalima.
Kalima. Christina means the Kalima. Cancer needs calc fluor, like I guess fluorite. It's CALCFLUOR. If you're a Leo, you need mag phos. Virgo needs Kali sulf. The Kali is spelt like the goddess Kali, Kali. If you're a Libra, you need Nat phos, like PHOS. If you're a Scorpio, you need calc sulf, like sulfur, I guess. And if you're a Sagittarius, like me, you need silicae.
Are these abbreviations for like is calc like
Calcite?
like calcium phosphate or
I think
or
you might.
magnesium phosphorus?
I think you might be right.
Interesting. Yours is the
Yeah.
only one with a single word.
They abbreviate it, but okay, so now we're going to break it down into each one and we'll explain about what each
Yeah, yeah,
one
yeah, yeah, yeah.
is. Following that is a description of cell salts associated with each major sun sign, along with the health conditions and parts of the body that they focus on. So if you're a Capricorn, and this is between December 22nd to January 19th, you need Calcarea phosphorica. That's the full name. Capricorn is the ruler of the skeletal structure, including bones, joints, knees, and teeth. The idea of the framework of the body fits well with Capricorn's nature, which is dependable, serious, but also rigid and inflexible at times. They resist change, they can be stubborn, unforgiving, and hard on themselves and others. So Calcarea phosphorica, cell salt number 2, is Capricorn's birth salt, and it is appropriately also the cell salt for bone strength, calcium absorption, and injury recovery. Aquarius, and that's between January 20th to February 18th. Aquarians need Natrium muriaticum. So Aquarius is the water bearer, and its matching cell salt is Natrium muriaticarium. Wait. Muriaticum. Cell salt number 9. Nat Mur. Now I know why they abbreviate them because
I
they're
see this,
ridiculous
yeah.
to say. Nat Mur regulates water in the body's cells and tissues whenever there is an imbalance of moisture in the body. For example, a runny nose or dry eyes. There is a deficiency of Nat Mur. Aquarians are forward-looking, open-minded intellectuals who love nothing more than free-flowing conversation or debate. Other body areas governed by Aquarius are the circulatory system, lower legs, ankles, and also the wrists. So if you're an Aquarius, get yourself some Nat Mur or Natrium muriaticum. You know what this kind of reminds me of? When we talked about the humors, like
Thank you. Yes. Okay.
balancing the humors,
Agreed, agreed, agreed.
right? Yeah. This is giving me the humors vibes.
Balance yourself out.
Exactly. So then next, we have Pisces between February 19th and March 20th. And Pisces needs Ferrum phosphoricum. And Pisces is the fish. They're artistic, altruistic, they're sensitive. They like to help others and tend to martyr-like sacrifices for those they love. Pisces rules the immune system and the feet. Their birth salt is Ferrum phosphoricum, cell salt number 4, which carries oxygen to every cell in the body and helps speed recovery from any health condition. It is the remedy for the early stages of fever, inflammation, and colds, and supports the action of all other medical astrology cell salts. And they say essential oils, rub them on your feet because they absorb faster through your feet. They get into your bloodstream a lot quicker through there.
Interesting.
So usually if I'm having trouble sleeping at night, I'll put like a little lavender oil on the bottom of my feet and
I like that.
works like a charm.
Boom.
Right.
Mix it with the Varium phosphoricum and bada bing,
Yeah.
bada boom.
Yeah. I think they sell these cell salts like a little vial, like kind of like they're essential oils, it seems like. I'm not sure, but maybe they're actual salt.
I
I don't know
know.
what they look like.
Watch, these are gonna start popping up and you're gonna be like, oh my God, they've been in a fucking Trader Joe's this whole time,
Probably
right?
right.
Yeah.
Because confirmation bias, right? That's a real thing.
Let me know.
I will. I'll let you know if I come across any of these out in the wild. And then Aries, between March 21st and April 19th, we have Kali phosphoricum, and Aries governs the brain, head, face, eyes, ears, and muscles. Aries individuals are often natural, headstrong leaders with lots of ambition and drive. They have a tendency towards mental overwork, which makes Kali phosphoricum, cell salt number 6, a perfect match for Aries. Also known as potassium phosphate, Kaliphos nurtures the nerves and the brain. It is used for the negative physical and emotional side effects of stress and exhaustion, headaches, sleeplessness, irritability, and poor memory. And then moving on to Taurus, April 20th through May 20th, we are in Taurus season right now. So if you're a Taurus, get yourself some Natrum sulfuricum. Taurians are dependable, hardworking individuals who enjoy the pleasures of life and are said to love music. It isn't surprising that Taurus rules the throat, neck, larynx, tongue, thyroid, and cervical spine. Natrum sulfuricum, cell salt number 11, is the corresponding cell salt. It is a remedy for the flu and key to a healthy digestive system as it supports bile production, the functioning of the liver, and the removal of waste fluids, all very important for indulging Taurians.
I wonder what would be good for your sciatica.
Right, yeah.
Like what is that? Is it in a muscle? Is it in like an organ?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing like maybe the tendons or something in your back. Because like I know Avi yells at me all the time for not stretching because he says your sciatic nerve is connected to your hamstring. If that's not stretched, then yeah, it could make your
Makes sense.
sciatica spasm.
Ugh.
So I'm not sure. I guess maybe we'll get to it in one of these astrological signs and see what rules the back.
Okay.
Or the legs for that matter, or the upper thigh, right? Gemini, this is you, Christina, May 21st through June 20th. You need some Kalima. Kali Muriaticum. Gemini are active people who love to communicate. Yes, she does. Christina loves to she's got the gift of the gab. Always on the move from one thing to the next. They tend to, does it say they tend to have anxiety and worries?
It should. It says they tend to anxiety and worries.
Yeah. Okay, so Gemini rules the nervous system, the hands, the arms, the shoulders, the lungs, and the ribs. Kali Muraticum, cell salt number 5, is Gemini's birth salt, and Kalima occurs in almost all cells in our body and is responsible for the majority of body functions to run more smoothly. It acts as a nerve tonic and relieves respiratory infections such as colds, coughs, sore throats, sinusitis, and bronchitis. So next time, Christina, remember that nagging cough
I
you had a few
needed
years
this
ago?
at a season 1.
Uh-huh.
The full
You need
half of
some,
season 1. I needed some kalima.
you need some Kalima.
Just to be clear, it's Kali Muir, M-U-R, right?
Yeah. Kalimur. Kalimur.
Kali
Yeah.
Muir.
We're just being stupid.
Be silly.
So the next is Cancer, and that's June 21st through July 22nd, and that is you will need some Calcariae fluorica. Cancers are hypersensitive souls who nurture and mother others. They seek security and stability. This tenderness can cause them to be moody, crabby, or with a hard exterior like a crab. Maybe that's why I'm a hard ass, because I'm a Cancer moon.
You're a moody girl, but you're soft inside.
That's
And good
exactly.
with butter.
I'm a crab. I'm a crab ass. So Cancer governs the chest, alimentary canal, stomach, womb, and the pancreas. Its matching cell salt is Calcarea fluorica, cell salt number 1, which encourages elasticity and toning of the cells and strengthens all tissues, including bones, muscles, teeth, and veins. It is given during pregnancy to avoid stretch marks, and calc fluor also combats fatigue and supports periods of growth and aging. The next is Leo, and that's July 23rd through August 22nd, and Leos can benefit from some magnesia phosphorica. Leos exhibit passionate energy and attract attention. They bask in love and appreciation, which can lead to egotism and self-centeredness. They have generally good health, but health problems generally arise when Leos feel neglected. Leos rule the heart, upper back, blood, and spleen. Its cell salt is magnesium phosphate, cell salt number 8. MagPhos targets the involuntary muscles, which is very fitting as the heart is the hardest working voluntary muscles in our body. FagPhos treats sharp nerve-related pain, cramps and spasms, headaches, earache, and sciatica. There it is. I
All
need
right,
some
Leo
magnesia
connection.
phosphorica
Cool.
in my life. Next is the Virgo, August 23rd through September 22nd, and Virgos can benefit from some Kali sulfuricum. Virgos are detail-oriented problem solvers with a good work ethic and practical view of life. Me and Christina are both Virgo rising, so we know the grind. But their high standards can lead to perfectionism and illnesses from workaholic habits.
Or 5.5-hour episodes.
Exactly. And now look at us. We're balls deep into going into season 4 in like a few months.
Yeah. Yay.
Crazy.
So many hours.
Yeah. So we could probably benefit from Kali sulfuricum, Christina, to battle our perfectionism and our workaholic habits. Virgo governs the sympathetic nervous system, the abdomen, and other accessory organs of the digestive system, including the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. Its cell salt is Kali sulfuricum, cell salt number 7, which distributes oil in the body, supplies oxygen to the cells, and supports important digestive processes such as fermentation and enzyme production. As Kali sulf deficiency can cause skin issues, acne, eczema, dry skin, and dandruff, fungal or yeast infections, sinus congestion, and upset stomach. So if you're suffering a deficiency in Kali sulfuricum, get yourself some of that. Next we have Libra, September 23rd through October 22nd, and that is the natrum phosphoricum salt. Libra personalities value balance and fairness. They're very social. They work well in teams. They abstain from taking sides. their detriment, I think, sometimes. Just fucking pick a side. Libra rules the kidneys, lower back. My father's a Libra. Libra rules the kidneys, lower back, and adrenal glands. Libra's cell salts is the pH balance, natrum phosphoricum, cell salt number 10. Nat phos is used for digestive issues, heartburn, gout, lumbago, I don't know what that is, and rheumatism as it balances acidic conditions of the cells and the blood. Moving on to Scorpio, October 23rd to November 21st. Calcarea sulfurica, that's the cell salt associated. Scorpios are curious, intuitive, and bold. They experience intense emotions, which can make them spiteful when they feel betrayed by those close to them. Scorpio governs the reproductive, urinary, and excretory organs. Its cell salt is Calcarea sulfuricum, cell salt number 3, which is an important cleanser and blood purifier, helping the body dispose of stored waste, resetting core body functions, and revitalizing the reproductive system. Cal sulf works to eliminate infections and suppurations, including colds, sinusitis, and skin conditions like boils. And then lastly, we have Sagittarius. That's me. November 22nd through December 21st. And this is Saliciae. And those born under this sign are full of enthusiasm for life. They love sports. I used to love sports, not so much anymore, but I used to be very active as a kid, gymnastics and all that stuff. They love sports and traveling, have ambitious dreams, which can lead to unrealistic goals. That is absolutely true. But you gotta be a little delulu,
Well,
That's
you
how
have your other signs to balance you out.
Yes, exactly. And Sagittarius rules the thighs, the hips, and the pelvis. And its cell salt is Siliciae, cell salt number 12, or silica. Okay, like silica gel.
The stuff you're not supposed to eat.
The stuff you're not supposed to eat. A tough mineral traditionally used to make the archer's arrowheads.
Oh.
Ah.
It absorbs, doesn't it? It absorbs moisture in your packages and stuff.
I guess so. Silica is recommended for brittle bones and sufferers of osteoporosis, as well as to strengthen a person's emotional and mental grit. It is known as the homeopathic lancet, eliminating splinters and other foreign matter, and for healing the skin, connective tissues, hair, and nails.
I like that. That's cool. You could probably target your top 3. Keep those on hand. Again, go use the site, go to the homeopath store. We're going to link it. But how do you take this? Is it a salt? Is it like, do you put it in your food? Do you put it in your coffee?
Right.
So get the lowdown, do your own research, but I'm interested. This is cool.
Okay, so it's a spray. So it says spray 2 to 3 squirts underneath your tongue 3 times a day or as needed. Children 12 years and under use 1 spray 3 times a day or as needed. Also consider squirting the spray in a small glass with a few tablespoons of water and sipping it slowly, or consider putting the spray on your child's wrist, inside the wrist, I guess like here, and rubbing it gently. I guess they're all different depending on what kind of salt cell it is.
What's the
but
most expensive one?
I'm on the silica one right now. That one is $16.99 for how many ounces is this? This is 30 milliliters. So you get about 180 sprays.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Yeah, and the inactive ingredient. Okay, so the active homeopathic ingredient is the Siliciae. It says 12x, so I'm guessing like maybe 12 drops of that or whatever. And then the inactive ingredients is 80% demineralized water and 20% organic cane alcohol. And the alcohol probably it helps it spread the area more.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like it makes it, I don't know,
Yeah, go for
last
it.
longer. And it is lactose free, vegan, and sugar free.
Well, it's only got water, alcohol, and
Right.
salt in it.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a cool find.
Yeah, I was like, what is this?
That's
I
cool.
don't know. Like, you kind of have to click on all of the different ones to see what the prices are. So I don't know, like, just at a glance.
yeah.
It seems like they're all kind of in the same price range, though.
Under $40.
Under $40. There you
Okay,
go.
cool. So, what are common ritual uses? Some of these we've already touched on, but just to have them all in one place, how do practitioners use salt? First, they use it in casting circles. This is the classic. You lay down a circle of salt around your space or tools to create a boundary, keeping out what does not belong and contain your intentions. Salt is also a powerful cleanser. You can use it to purify crystals, ritual tools, and even your altar. Sometimes it's better to use a salt to purify because not all crystals can be purified by water. Some folks sprinkle a bit into their mop water or floor wash, especially around thresholds to cleanse out stagnant, unwanted energy. And don't forget the bath salts, a handful of salt and warm water, maybe with some herbs or oil. And then you've got yourself a ritual cleansing that works on your body and your spirit. Let's talk about a little bit of spell work. Salt fits into just about every category. Warding spells often start with salt, lining windowsills, entrances, and pour it in a line around properties. Protection jars use salt as a base layer, anchoring herbs, stones, and personal items. It creates a literal energetic buffer. In banishment rituals, our bouncer, bad boy, black salt, can be scattered at the edges of a space or tossed over the shoulder after releasing something, be it a habit or a person or an influence. It'll throw them out the door.
Yeah.
And finally, in home blessings, a little bit of salt in each corner of the house, sprinkled around doorways, dissolved into floor washes or for windows. It's simple, powerful, and ancient. Salt is a small thing, but in magic, it's mighty. Whether you're warding off harm, cleansing a space, or anchoring your intentions, salt meets you at the threshold, firm, sacred, and steady.
Yeah, salt has been part of a magical practice for thousands of years, but just like everything else, its uses has evolved. And today, it's not just about what kind of salt you use, it's how you use it, where it comes from, and why it matters. So let's talk about ethical sourcing and elemental connection. First things first, ethics. Salt is a natural resource, and in many places, its extraction affects the environment and local communities. As modern witches, we're called to be conscious of where our tools come from, just like we would check the source of our herbs and our crystals. When you work with salt, you're working with both earth and water elements, solid and fluid, grounding and flowing. And it's a beautiful duality, and honoring that connection makes your practice deeper and more intentional. So, I mean, I don't know where our run-of-the-mill Morton salt comes from, right? So yeah, I mean, I guess if do your research, right? Like, if you read the backs of your labels and figure out where stuff is coming from.
I just got a text from Caitlin.
Oh, really?
We
Speak
have
up,
white
Danny.
smoke
What?
coming out of the Vatican.
Shut up. Does that mean we have a pope?
A decision has been made.
Oh shit, I hope it's pizza bala.
I guess we'll find out. We'll keep you posted.
All
Poke
right.
watch.
Okay, yeah, so ethical sourcing and elemental connection. We're gonna get a little bit more into the elements. Salt is deceptively simple but incredibly elementally versatile. And here's how it corresponds to each of the 5 elements in a more magical and symbolic practice, with some ties to practical magic when possible. So going back to Earth, we did our Earth episode a couple weeks ago, and this is all about the origin and grounding force. And salt is mined from the earth or harvested from dried seabeds. It carries the dense grounding energy of the material world. It's a symbol of preservation, endurance, and protection. Those are all traits associated with the element of earth. In practical magic, salt is used as a grounding and protective agent, tethering the Owens women to the earth when, they sprinkle a little salt in a breakfast brownie, or they indulge in their midnight margaritas, as consuming alcohol and being under the influence can make them vulnerable to spiritual entities. So a little salt around the rim can fix that right up, right? Next, we're going to talk about air.
I said, Kate, you made it on a recording. When did we find out who? She said, right now. I said, yay, keep me posted. Justina's on the edge of her seat for pizza bala. She said, nope, it's an American. Who?
Oh.
Who?
Shut the fuck up. It better fucking not be Donald Trump.
Oh my God.
Did you see that
Don't
fucking
even joke
AI
about
image?
that. Don't even joke about that.
Did you see that AI image?
I did.
What? That man is off his goddamn rocker.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And now he wants to reopen Alcatraz. What is this timeline?
What a moron. Alrighty.
All right. Moving on to air. It's carried and scattered and symbolic of thought. Salt can be thrown into the air, like when spilled salt is tossed over the left shoulder to blind the devil. This movement is symbolic, an action backed by belief. Salt particles, when ground or thrown, they ride the air, connecting it to intentions carried on the wind. Ooh, isn't that so poetic? Or it's words whispered in spells. In practical magic, words are spells, and the act of using salt is often accompanied by intention or spoken incantations. Think of it as the material catalyst for an invisible shift, like breath made manifest. Think of the witch's poem from Shakespeare's Macbeth that the aunts recite as they're blending up those midnight margaritas. Their cackles that travel up the staircase to summon the girls to come down to the party. One of the ingredients they chant about is that froggy as salt, like a sailor's stubble. And we talked about this particular and peculiar ingredient on our most recent song episode for our original song Midnight Margaritas. Go listen to that. We were talking about how the writers of the film may have meant to say Freya, the Norse goddess whose father is Njord, the Vanir god associated with the sea, sailing, and wealth. And then at the end of the film, when Jimmy's spirit has taken over Jillian's body, Sally licks the salt while verbally guiding Jillian back to the physical plane, so more airy incantations in pairing with the use of salt. And it's done very subtly, so you don't realize that that's like the element of air, but the air is a more subtle take on the element of salt. Then we have fire, and this is all about alchemy, transformation, and banishing. Salt is often cast into flames in ritual practice to cleanse energy or banish spirits. It doesn't burn, but it reacts, sparking, crackling, or sizzling. It transforms fire into a sacred purifying force, and fire and salt is a powerful banishing combo, which aligns with the exorcism scene in Practical Magick. As they fight Jimmy's spirit, the women in the broom circle are surrounded by the flickering flames of the candles. Alright, okay, so moving on to water. This is all about origin, emotion, and sea magic. And sea salt, of course, comes from the ocean. The womb of the world represents longing, inevitability, magic beyond our control, just like love. The mixture of salt and water in the tears could also be seen as a ritual release, cleansing grief and trauma. There is so much loss throughout the movie, and while the Owens women come from a long line of powerful women who all have their own unique abilities, the fact that we see our main characters crying throughout the film is a reminder that they are still very human, and they're all moving through life, going through the same traumatic experiences as we all go through in our own real lives. And that's why this movie is so relatable. And this all also led me to the question, though, why are tears salty? Did we ever stop to think why our tears are salty?
No.
Our tears are salty because they contain electrolytes, which are essentially salt ions like sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. And these electrolytes are present in other bodily fluids as well, like blood, and contribute to the saltiness that we taste, I guess, on our taste buds. And here's a more detailed explanation. Tears are primarily made of water, but also contain other components. Besides water, tears contain those electrolytes, lipids, which are oils, enzymes, and more. Electrolytes give tears their salty taste. The sodium and the potassium are the main electrolytes that contribute to the salty taste. Electrolytes are essential for bodily functions. They help regulate various psychological processes, including the health of the eyes. Different types of tears have varying saltiness. Did you know there's different types of tears? I had no idea.
Who's tasting these things? Gross. One of my biggest pet peeves in like a spicy book is there's been a trope. I've read it in 3 or 4 books where like the guy will like wipe her tears away and then like lick them off, or like like lick them with his tongue off of her cheeks. And I'm like, that's gross.
That's creepy.
I don't like that at all. Stop.
That is
Give her
very
a tissue because she's probably also snotting.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But like I had no idea there were different types of tears. So we have basal tears, which are your everyday run-of-the-mill tears. I don't know what that means.
BASAL.
Yeah, basal tears are like your everyday tears. I don't know, maybe like if you have something in your eye or something. I don't know.
Like
Actually, no, because
tears.
then there's reflex tears, which are irritant tears.
Okay.
Then there's emotional tears, which are psychic tears, and they all have slightly different compositions and levels of saltiness.
So everyday tears, maybe just your tear ducts that naturally coat your eyes and keep them wet.
Yeah.
And then irritant tears when you got shit in your eyes and you're scratching them. And then psychic tears, emotional tears when you're upset or emotional.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I never knew there were different like levels of saltiness depending on what kind of tear it is. And I didn't even know there were different types of tears. I was like, oh, well, they're tears. They just all come from the same tear ducts, right? So they're the same.
What are wine tasters called?
Sommeliers?
Yeah, are there tear sommeliers out there?
Oh, like just tasting people's tears? Like, this one's
Yeah.
got a little briny brine. You could taste it on the palate on their upper cleft of your tongue, or I don't know what the fuck they say. We're moving on to aether, spirit, aether, AETHER. Remember that spelling, okay? This has to do with the essence, the memory, and the soul. And salt is one of the most ancient sacred substances, connecting humans to the divine, to ancestors, and to memory. It has been used in holy offerings, ritual protection, and spiritual contracts, like the salt of the covenant, is a phrase even in biblical tradition. In Practical Magick, salt is tied to the ancestral wisdom of the Owens line, an intuitive act that doesn't need explanation. It's a spiritual inheritance, a way of keeping the sacred close. And just a reminder of some of the ingredients that the aunts were keeping stored in their pantry. Do we remember this conversation that aether and chloroform was one of them?
Yeah.
And I just noticed this. I noticed another shot that this aether bottle was in. Look at this scene where Kylie is helping mix up the banishing syrup. Why the hell would aether have been used for the syrup? Why is that bottle out?
But isn't this salt or is this spirit? This is spirit.
This is spirit.
Spirit. So
Yeah.
are they thinking like a vodka spirit, like
I don't
to
know.
dilute it into the syrup?
I have
We'll
no-
never know.
I have no idea. But I'm like, why is that out on the table? Why is Kylie using that for this
Huffing the ether.
syrup? Interesting. That kind of want to go down that rabbit hole at some point. In conclusion, about these elements and how salt is incorporated into all of that, it's because salt is the alchemical bridge. It grounds with earth, it carries intention with air, it purifies with passion with fire, it cleanses emotion with water, and it seals soul truths with spirit.
I just had an ice cream cone.
You
It
did?
was really good.
What kind of ice cream did you
Oh,
have?
it's like one of those like the cones with the fudge inside and then the like hard shell top.
Like
Classic.
chocolate hard shell?
Yeah.
That's like my least favorite kind of ice cream.
What?
I hate
Okay.
like hard shell chocolate. Ugh.
I love a crunch. What kind of ice cream do you like?
It's like soft serve with lots of sprinkles.
I like a sprinkles. Let me let you record. I want to talk about ice cream.
Okay. And froyo, like give me all the froyo toppings and like the fruit and
I
like the
like
brown egg.
I like a little crunch, like with like nuts inside. I think it's really good, but you get the crunch from the sprinkles.
Do you like D's?
I don't know what that is. These
D's
nuts.
nuts?
I walked into that one.
You walked
Ouch.
right into that.
Wow.
Anyway, we're back.
Yeah. Our evening giggles are
I don't-
here.
Where they
Yes.
are always here. I had to come home and chug some coffee because I was like, at 5 o'clock, I was hitting a wall. I was like, oh my God, we still got to record.
You're a wild
Ugh.
woman.
I got home and I sat in my driveway for like 15 minutes and just sat there with my eyes closed.
Aw.
I was like trying to rally so hard. I was like, I need to go chug
You
some
got
coffee.
this. I know it's hard. You gotta center yourself because you go in and you still aren't done. Like you gotta take
Yeah.
care of your animals. I feel that way too.
Yeah, I just was like, I was so tired. I still am tired, but I mean, the coffee is kind of putting a little bit of pep in my step.
Nice.
So
I had
that's
to
probably
get-
gonna keep me up all night now. Watch.
Okay, we left off on salt versus saltpeter.
Saltpeter. Yeah, I wanted to take a minute to talk about saltpeter because saltpeter was mentioned a few times in the books, and we've also talked about it before. I think it was on our alchemy tree episode. Remember the symbols with the hands and the like one of the symbols was saltpeter?
Yes.
So I was like, what is this stuff? And isn't
that?
salt? Like, what is it? My question is, what is the difference between your run-of-the-mill salt and saltpeter? So salt and saltpeter are both salts, but they differ in their chemical composition and primary use. Salt, typically sodium chloride NaCl, is a common culinary ingredient, and it's also used for various industrial processes. NaCl is like your run-of-the-mill table salt. Okay, saltpeter, also known as potassium nitrate, KNO3, is primarily used in fertilizer, gunpowder, and food preservation. So I'm not sure if saltpeter is what they use to like cure meats.
Interesting.
You know?
I don't know.
And also, food preservation, if we're going back to like the mummification times, were they using saltpeter and not actual salt? You know?
Right.
A little bit of an elaboration, I guess, between salt and saltpeter. So salt, sodium chloride, this is the common table salt that people use for flavoring and preserving food. It's a compound of sodium and chloride ions. Saltpeter, potassium nitrate, this is a potassium salt with a nitrate group, whatever the fuck that means. I'm not a scientist. It has a cool
Phyllis
and
is.
salty... Phyllis? Where's Phyllis?
She's a scientist.
She knows everything about verbena and staunching wounds.
Punching.
Staunching. It has a cool and salty taste and is soluble in water. Some of the uses. So salt is widely used in cooking, industry, and cleaning. Saltpeter is used in fertilizer, gunpowder, food preservation. It was historically used in meat curing to give a
Hey, you were right.
characteristic pink color to cured meats like bacon and ham, or if you're like me, the gabagool and the prosciutto, you know?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Can't get enough of that stuff. It's horrible for you, but it's like
It's delicious.
my favorite shit ever.
Yeah.
Chemical properties. Salt is a compound of sodium and chloride ions, NaCl, while saltpeter is a compound of potassium and nitrate ions, KNO3. Both are described as salty. Saltpeter has a cool, salty taste, different from the taste of pure salt.
What does cool taste
I
like?
don't know what that means.
Like a Mentos commercial?
Yeah, maybe like a menthol vibe. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Like maybe like clearing your sinuses somehow.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's in smelling salts? Is that saltpeter?
Beta. I don't
Peter,
know.
saltpeter. Let
It's
me
so funny
okay.
every time you say that. Yeah.
What is in smelling salts? Okay, that's interesting. Smelling salts are typically a combination of diluted ammonia,
Hmm.
water, and ethanol. So not
Oh.
even salt,
Oh no.
right? And they may be a mixture of ammonium carbonate, and perfume. Both solutions offer a physical stimulant. So I
Wow.
don't know if it's actual salts.
So it's not smelling salt. It's not salt at all.
Yeah, it says
It's the ammonia that's waking you up.
right, like death punching you in the
Yeah, yeah.
face.
Throat punching you.
Like you know how when you open something up that's just been like stewing and it just like bah
You hold your breath before you open the
smacks you in
container
the
kind of
yeah,
smell.
smacks you in the
Yep.
face. Exactly. Yeah, so
Yep.
the stimulant effect of smelling salts is due to the ammonia, which irritates a person's nasal and lung membranes when they sniff it. And the result is the person involuntarily inhales and starts to breathe faster, which sends more oxygen to the brain. I guess that's why it wakes you the fuck up.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and historically, doctors would use smelling salts to help revive people who have fainted. However, today, athletes looking to improve performance will sometimes use smelling salts for their stimulant effect.
I need to have that for our evening like
Right?
recording sessions.
Yeah.
Where do you get
It's
smelling
I
salt?
don't know where you get them, but it says they're typically safe to help someone regain consciousness after fainting. However, there is a lack of evidence regarding the safety of repeated use of smelling salts or
Got it.
smelling salt use for other means.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's something you would want to do all the time.
Not recreationally.
Not recommended. Yeah, no.
So
But that's interesting. Smelling salts, who knew? No, not actual salt.
we do. We know now. You can
Well,
wow
now
your
we
family next holiday. Hey, smelling salts when
Mother's
you're
Day, Sunday, they're all gonna know new shit now. So look at that. Hope the lights don't flicker this time and Jesus doesn't take the wheel.
a little bit of salt in the kitchen witchery, which is
Mhm.
my go-to. Justine's going to tell us why salt and pepper have become soulmates over time. They're always together, but salt has always had a place in the kitchen. But in witchcraft, it has become sacred. A pinch of salt in your soup can be a spell. A handful on your cutting board, protection. Cleaning your counters with salt and lemon, a purification ritual in disguise. Kitchen witchery isn't about fancy tools, it's about turning everyday acts into magical moments. Salt bridges the physical and the spiritual in such simple and tactile ways.
Yeah. So, did you ever wonder how salt and pepper became like this soul couple?
No, I picture them in that little kid cartoon where like the mommy and the daddy, one's the salt, one's the pepper.
Uh-huh.
I don't know
They're
what
like
it's called.
they're like the peanut butter and jelly of the
Yeah.
spice world. Spice up
Spice
your
World.
life. Ginger spice. They're like wormwood and mugwort.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Yeah, so salt and pepper. Okay, so this article is written by Natalie Jasowitz, and Natalie says salt and pepper shakers are so omnipresent on tabletops that adding a dash of the white or black stuff, or both, is almost a dining rite. The seasonings pair well with just about everything, and they go together like, well, salt and pepper. What's that song by Salt and Pepper? Dun, 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 dun. Push it
That's
real
them.
good. Push it good. Yeah. But these two culinary staples have not always occupied such a place of prominence. It's a weird accident of history, says Ken Albala, a professor of history and founder of the Food Studies program at the University of the Pacific. In Europe, during the late Middle Ages, pepper was never on the table, nor was any other spice for that matter. Usually, spices would be added in the kitchen with a very heavy hand until the 17th century. Salt was on the table, but not in a shaker. Instead, salt was often presented in salt cellars or in Italian courtly settings at the end of a knife offered by the trinciante or meat carver. According to Abala, the trinciante would carve the meat in the air, allowing each slice to fall delicately to the person being served. The trinciante would then dip the end of the knife in salt and scrape it onto the diner's plate. If this sounds complicated, it was. There were entire books dedicated to the art of carving, and noblemen were often the carvers. In fact, salt has occupied... That reminds me of like when you go to the weddings and it's like the cocktail hour and there's always that meat carving station.
I'm thinking of just like a Greek restaurant where they're just on the
Uh-huh.
spit carving the big meat.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep. So in fact, salt has occupied a place of culinary dominance across cultures. We like the taste of salt innately because salt is a signal of protein in nature, says Rachel Hertz, an adjunct assistant professor of psychiatry and human behavior at Brown University and author of Why You Eat What You Eat. What's more, humans need salt to regulate fluid balance and help nerves and muscles function. Salt also helps preserve food before refrigeration, like the curing, right? And Hertz says studies have shown that the more salt people eat, the more they crave it,
I
right?
believe that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. How many times have you eaten, like, popped open a bag of chips? You can't have just one.
No, absolutely not.
Can't.
Yeah, but it helps regulate, everything in moderation. Right, right,
Moderation
right.
is
But
key.
it does have positives and negatives.
Absolutely. That's why when some people are like, no, salt is so bad for you, it's like, well, everything is bad for you if you overdo it.
Water, bad for you.
Exactly. You could drown in a tablespoon of water. Like, just don't be an asshole and you'll be fine. So salt had a foothold in cooking, and pepper was one of many spices used in heavily seasoned dishes. But after the Middle Ages, the use of most spices decreased. The decline likely had multiple causes. As spices got more affordable, they grew less associated with wealth and featured less in European courtly cooking. At the same time, the view that spices were necessary for specific healthful properties declined. According to Albala, increasingly influential French haute cuisine relegated most spices to dessert, but salty and spicy flavors were not incorporated into the final course because they did not fit in dessert. Salt and pepper remained flavors in savory dishes. Salt shakers, Albala surmises, probably became common in the early 20th century when producers figured out how to keep salt from clumping. Just add the rice, right? Who knew? Who the fuck knew? Tabletop seasonings may do more than flavor food, according to Krishnendu Ray, an associate professor of food studies at New York University. Unlike today, when many people have personalized diets for nutritional, ethical, or preferential reasons, in most traditional cuisines, individual exceptions were rare. Most people ate what people around them ate. Seasonings allowed room for idiosyncrasies and personal preferences. Seasonings can also serve as bridges between different types of cuisine. Ray, for example, grew up in a small town in Odisha, a state in eastern India. On special occasions, his family would go to one of two Chinese restaurants, and both featured a tabletop condiment of green chilies and vinegar. It's very Indian to have green chilies. Wow.
You added the
can't
accent
speak.
without trying. Chiles.
I was gonna say chiles, but I mean, we're not talking about Spanish chilies, right? We're talking about Indian chilies.
Yep.
It's very Indian to have green chilies, says Ray, but vinegar isn't that common in Indian food, other than being used in some marinades. The sauce was so central to his conception of Chinese food that he was shocked when he came to the West and learned the condiment was not a staple in Chinese food everywhere. In retrospect, he views the condiment as building a bridge between Indian and Chinese cuisines. As Ray's story demonstrates, salt and pepper may rule supreme among seasonings in European dishes, but many culinary traditions have produced plenty of tabletop alternatives. Ray asked for examples on the Association for the Study of Food and Society's Facebook page and received 36 responses within 2 hours. It's not that many.
Very specific.
I don't know. Among the
Fact.
examples, fish sauce and crushed red peppers in Thailand and Laos, lime salsa and chopped onion and cilantro in Mexico, and chili-based awaz paste in Ethiopia. Have you ever had Ethiopian food?
No, don't you talk? You've had it.
Very dense.
I believe
We
it.
had
Okay.
I had it once, and it was very, very dense. It was good. It was just very filling. It's heavy.
Okay.
It's like this really thick bread and a lot of pasty kind of stuff. A lot of vegetables. So it says today's chefs could even incorporate some tips from the Middle Ages and Renaissance, according to Albala, who has cooked a number of recipes from the past. Many old recipes do not say exactly how much seasoning to add. 1/16th century French cookbook simply advises, quote, a great deal of sugar. The recipes can probably take up to a tablespoon of seasoning. Some people assume they couldn't have put so much seasoning on because it wouldn't taste good. I say nonsense, Albala declares. Sprinkle cinnamon and sugar on top of chicken or pasta, and it's so good.
What? Okay, is that a joke or is that real?
I don't know if he's joking or not, but I must say, sometimes an unexpected seasoning on an unexpected food, it actually hits pretty nice. Like I've told you that my dad used to make like an orange salad growing up,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
he used to slice the oranges like a citrus, right? But then you put some salt and pepper and a little olive oil and
Yeah.
garnish it with some pinoli nuts. The salt brings out the sweetness of the orange, and the pepper gives like that nice little kick, and it is so freaking good.
That's so
It's
weird.
so good. And you know what else I love? Cinnamon.
Everything bagel seasoning.
Well, that too. Cinnamon on pineapple, grilled pineapple.
I can see that. Yeah, like candied or caramelized,
Yeah,
with the
so
cinnamon.
freaking good.
That
The
sounds
first time I
good.
ever had that was when we go to a Portuguese barbecue place around the corner, and Avi gets this thing called rodizio, and it's like the never-ending like grilled meat, and they bring it all out on like a stick, like
Yeah.
a what did they call it?
Bit.
A steak. And then after, to top off all this meat, they give you the something sweet. So they give you grilled pineapple with the cinnamon on it. And that was the first time I ever had that. And I was like, holy shit, this shit slaps. So now, like, I just make it at home. I just grill some pineapple and put some cinnamon on
I'm
it.
gonna try that. That sounds really good.
So speaking of, we were talking kitchen witchery in this segment. I wanted to talk about salt dough because this is one of my favorite things to do and to make as a kitchen witch because it's literally only 3 ingredients: flour, water, and salt. And I have multiple videos of salt dough projects on my YouTube channel for different Sabbats or projects or time of the year. And it's fun to do, to like bake and get your hands kind of dirty, and then like also get out your paints and then get a little crafty, because usually I like to bake stuff to paint it and then
Yes.
display it for the Sabbat or whatever it is that I'm doing. And the first one that I ever did, I did a sun face plaque for Litha. I made like a sun out of the salt dough, like just like a big circle, and then I kind of painted it as a sun face. And then I
Yeah.
had extra dough, so I made some medallion ornaments. And I put like little strings through them, and then I kind of like hung them from different spots around my
Yeah.
altar.
I remember
And
this
you could get like,
video. I remember this.
right?
So pretty. Yeah.
This was a lot of fun. And the great thing about salt dough is that once it comes out of the oven, you can literally paint it however you want. And you could, do whatever you want for the season that's current.
Watching this
So
is so
here's the recipe,
nostalgic.
right?
It's
Yeah.
so nostalgic seeing it.
Sometimes I like watching my old craft projects because I'm like, I forget how I even did that. How did I? And sometimes I have to go back just to like I had to go back to this video to get the recipe because like I was like, I don't remember this in a recipe.
Yeah.
So salt dough, the recipe is really easy. It's 1 cup of salt, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 3/4 cups of water, but you add the water gradually, and then you mix it together until it forms a dough. And then put some flour down on your counter to prevent it from sticking. If you're going to roll this out on your countertop or a cutting board, whatever you want, just put the flour down first. Roll out your dough. Then you can use cookie cutters or any other kind of templates that you have to cut shapes out of your dough, and then place your shapes on a parchment lined baking sheet. Pop it into the oven at about 350 degrees for roughly 10 to 15 minutes. Make sure you check on it because it can burn. And sometimes it does puff up, so just be wary of that. I have not found the learning curve yet on how to not get it to puff up. Maybe I'm putting too much of something, or maybe not mixing it well enough, or I'm not sure. Maybe there's too much oxygen in the dough. Maybe I'm not pounding it enough. I really don't know why sometimes mine puffs up, but that does happen. But when you take it out, the dough will usually kind of come back down. Just let it cool. You want it to let it cool completely before painting. And then when you paint it, I like to use acrylic paints. You could decorate it with glitter, with ribbons. You could do whatever you want. If you want to make them into ornaments, though, be sure to poke your the back end of a paintbrush or like a pencil or something to make the little hole in the ornament. And then you can string your ribbon through after it's cools, after you paint it and stuff, and you're ready to put the ribbon through.
It's a good
But
Christmas gift. Easy
yeah,
Christmas
exactly. You can
gift.
make ornaments.
Don't put them outside because
Do
they'll
not.
melt.
Yeah, do not put them outside. Okay, yeah, so I do have a couple disclaimers when making these. They
Hmm.
are for indoor use only, and you want to keep these away from your pets. I've had 2 different friends whose pets got a hold of one of these.
Oh
They
no.
ate it, ended up severely dehydrated from all the salt content,
Oh
and
no.
they had a nice little trip to the vet. So definitely keep these as far away from possible,
Wow.
far away as possible from your pets as you can. Yeah.
Okay.
So I keep mine in my office, like, I keep an eye on my cats when I'm in here, and when I'm not in here, my cats are not allowed in here and the door gets shut.
Right.
So if you do have somewhere that's far away from kids or pets, because I don't know, maybe a kid would try to eat this too. I don't know.
Mhm.
But definitely keep it away from whoever might want to try to eat this. And
Yeah, best practice is like make it hangable because
Mhm.
then most animals can't get into something hanging on the wall.
Right. Yeah. If you do have a like an indoor space, like I also have a screened in porch and my cats don't go out there either. So it's nice to kind of like have that liminal space between the outdoors and the inside and where I could like hang up my nature crafts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a nice little like the vestibule, I call it. That's all adorned with like dried flowers and like all my craft projects and stuff.
very
So
witchy.
yeah, it is very witchy. So if you guys have a sunroom, that's another great place to hang stuff like this because if you put some like pretty glitter on it, then that catches the sun really nicely and it's
I
really
have
pretty.
made one before. I had the sun on one side and the moon on the other. I don't
Yeah.
know if I still have it. But
Yeah.
I made it with the girls and they when I nannied and they made their own and the
So
little
cute.
one had it hanging on her wall till I left. So that was really
So
cute.
cute. Yeah.
A good kid
So some
craft.
other salt dough projects that I have on my channel. I've also made mermaid ornaments I made a mermaid altar. I've also made a goddess doll for the Thanksgiving season. And I painted it like green and I had cut out different leaf shapes in the dough.
They're so cool.
And then I kind of layered it. So it's like this 3D kind of goddess shaped what do you call it? An effigy? Like the shape of a doll or something like
Hmm
that.
hmm
And then I dressed it in like oil and all the fall spices like cinnamon and clove and like it smells so good on your altar like
It's an
dressed
a
all like
very
that.
interactive but very easy project to incorporate
So
into magic.
easy. Exactly. Very easy. And then also I've made salt dough Ouija board planchets.
That's so
I've
cool.
made two different Ouija boards. I made one for Halloween and Samhain, obviously, but then I made a spring one because we had a patron a while ago. Remember Daisha? And she was like giving me ideas. She was like, "Can you make a spring Ouija board?" And I was like, "Okay." Challenge accepted. So I did the spring Ouija board, but then I also made the salt dough planchet very spring like with some like flower petals and some fern and some pastel
You're so
colored gems
talented.
and it was a lot of fun. So all those videos are up on my YouTube channel. If anybody wants to see those, I will post those to our show notes. And that's just salt, water, and flour.
It sounds like it's time for another project along these lines because this is 2023, so it's been a hot minute since you made a salt dough
It's
anything.
it has been a minute. If you have any ideas, let me know. I would love to do another salt dough project soon.
We could do it together, exchange.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
what am I gonna
should.
make you? Old Greg. So you can hang
Oh my
old
God, I
Greg
almost
on
just
your
spit out
wall.
my coffee.
Make an assessment.
I'm gonna make you salad fingers.
Oh,
I like rusty spoons.
they ride the same bus.
I feel like they do. Yeah, that's which is why I was like so surprised when you brought that up and I've never heard of it. I was like, how have I never heard of this? I used to watch all that fucking weird ass shit on the internet. And I still do.
It's just funny
Anyway,
that like Avi had just heard of it as well, like that within the year. Yeah,
right. That damn
random.
confirmation bias. It's a
Yeah.
bitch, I tell
I'm
you.
glad you asked him though. I was like, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. All right, so tell us more about the origins of the margarita and the salted rim. Why do we put salt on our margarita
Yeah.
glasses?
We're gonna bring it back. One of the big things besides the end lines in our movie is the salt and the tequila and the margaritas Justina talked about earlier. So I will do a salted rim now and then, but you kind of look like an idiot, like licking that rim all up.
Oh, I will lick my
However,
rim all day, every day. I fucking love that shit.
trying to have a serious conversation, just
That's me in a nutshell.
so this practice was of adding a salted rim to a margarita glass dates back to the cocktail's early history. One popular origin of the story credits Carlos Danny Herrera, who in 1938 crafted the margarita for a customer allergic to most spirits except tequila. To balance tequila's strong flavor, he combined it with lime juice and triple sec, finishing with a salted rim to enhance the taste. Another account suggests that the margarita evolved from the quote tequila daisy, a cocktail popular in the 1930s which combined tequila, citrus juice, and orange liqueur. That sounds good.
Mm.
The addition of salt likely drew inspiration from the traditional method of consuming tequila with salt and lime. So, why does this enhance your margarita? So, the flavor enhancement, salt suppresses bitterness and enhances sweetness. Like you said with your dad's oranges, his orange salad,
Yep.
making the citrus and orange liqueurs flavors more pronounced. It helps balance the tartness of the lime juice and the strength of the tequila, where's my brain, creating a harmonious flavor profile. And as tradition, the salted rim has become a hallmark of the margarita, linking it to its historical roots and enhancing the overall drinking experience. And so it's important to choose the right salt. So for the best experience, coarse salt like kosher salt are preferred for rimming your glass. They even sell like little Tupperware things that you can just rotate your glass in, as they adhere well and provide a satisfying crunch without overpowering the drink, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, speaking of rim jobs, my personal favorite, the tahine rim with the spicy margarita is like the perfect combination. Have you ever had the one with the tahine rim?
No, 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 no.
Oh God. If you like a little kick, a little spice in your life, the tahine, so freaking good. A couple summers ago, I made watermelon margaritas with tahine rims. And then also, if you take just like chunks of watermelon, if you like carve up a watermelon, you just like take out the chunks and eat that fresh. Sprinkle a little tahine on it.
I've
It's
never had tahini on anything.
so good. Get
I'm
yourself
gonna,
some tahine. It's
okay.
it will change your life.
I want you to make me a margarita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also when we go to Salem, my favorite order at all the bars there is the Downey's pumpkin hard cider with the pumpkin syrup and sugar cinnamon rim. Oh my God.
That flavor lives rent free in my brain.
Right?
You just say it, and it's like, you can taste it.
It lives rent free in my mouth, and then
And
it's
then my
loud
mouth
in my
is
mouth.
it's loud in my mouth.
Right.
Yeah, that one was really good. Yeah. So I wonder
Exactly.
what the preference is if there's different things added to certain tequilas. Like there's so many recipes, but like why would you pick a salt over a sugar rim? Because you can do either
Right.
or. But I would
That's
always go
true.
for a salt rim, no sugar rim.
Same. Yeah, I feel like if you get like a mango margarita, maybe a sugar rim might be better because it's sweeter. But then I don't know. I've had the tahine rim with the mango margarita as well. And the tahine, that little spice kick with the fruitiness of the mango, that's really good. That's a good combination too. We're gonna get back to the garden. Can you hear that kid outside my window going, nee, nee?
No.
Wait,
No,
you
can't
don't
hear
hear
him.
him?
Mm-mm.
There's this little kid across the street. He's like, I don't know, he's probably like 8 years old. He rides his bicycle back and forth because his dad rides a motorcycle. So he tries to like emulate
Oh,
the sound of his dad's motorcycle.
yeah.
It's cute, but he does it all the fucking time. And
I
sometimes it's
can't
like,
hear
"Shut the fuck up."
it. You're on
Sometimes
your
me and
own.
Avi, we get home and he's outside and we're like, nee, nee. And he just rides it back and forth going, nee, nee. He's doing it right now. That's why I'm like, I hope you can't hear it on
No,
your end.
no.
So, salt in the garden, some uses and considerations. So, some of the benefits of using salt in your garden. If you use Epsom salt, this is magnesium sulfate. This can be a nutrient supplement. Epsom salt provides magnesium and sulfur, essential nutrients that support photosynthesis and overall plant health. To apply, dissolve 1 to 2 tablespoons of Epsom salt in a gallon of water and apply to plants every 2 to 4 weeks during the growing season. So, some suitable plants that you might want to use this for are magnesium loving plants like tomatoes, peppers, and even roses. Number 2, to amend your soil, magnesium deficiency correction. In soils lacking magnesium, Epsom salts can help rectify deficiencies, leading to improved plant vigor. And then some potential risks. Again, everything in moderation, right?
Yeah.
Some overuse concerns. You could get a nutrient imbalance. Excessive application can lead to an imbalance, hindering the uptake of other essential nutrients like calcium and potassium. Overuse may increase soil salinity, affecting water absorption and potentially harming plant roots. And this is not a universal remedy. So some misconceptions are, while Epsom salt is touted for various benefits, it's not a cure-all. Its effectiveness is primarily in correcting magnesium deficiencies. And some best practices, you might want a soil test. So before applying, it's like a strip test. Like when you dye your hair and you do like a
Exactly.
strip on a small little strand.
Yeah.
Before applying Epsom salt, conduct a soil test to determine if there is a magnesium deficiency. And then use Epsom salt sparingly in moderation, only when necessary to avoid potential negative effects on soil and plant health. And some alternative solutions, consider other soil amendments or fertilizers if magnesium levels are
Nice.
yeah.
You know,
I did hear though, like actual table, like NaCl table salt. You shouldn't put that in your garden though,
no, no, no,
right?
no. Right.
No.
Yeah. You end up like the Reverend with no lawn. Did
Yeah,
you
he's
know
such
that
a
you can use
father.
salt in the digital age we live in?
No.
I didn't either. So yes, salt, it's made its way into the digital realm. In online spellwork communities, you can see people sharing recipes for black salt, salt spell jars, and even emojis of the salt, the little salt emoji, in group chats as a form of spiritual boundary setting. That's
Oh,
pretty clever.
yeah.
Just because it's online doesn't mean it's any less real. Intention travels, community strengthens it. So, like magic itself, adapts. But some safety notes to
So,
think about. Yes.
yeah. So people use just the emoji to just be like, all right, you crossed the line or something like that. Like if somebody's arguing like on a message board or a forum or something, like take for example, all the political bullshit on in Facebook comments.
I guess. Yeah, it is a form a spiritual boundary setting. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Or if you're getting together on like Discord, maybe you're doing spell work with a group
Mm.
of people digitally, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody sends their little salt, and your circle is cast, and you're all protected digitally, maybe.
I like that.
It's cute.
That is
Yeah.
cute.
So, little safety note, quick reminder though, not all salts are created equal when it comes to safety. Some are not meant to be oh, this is not digitally. Some are not meant to be ingested or bathed in. For example, black salt, used in banishing rituals, often contains ashes or iron filings, not something you want near your skin or in your teas or in your bath. Yeah.
Mm.
Always know your ingredients, respect the purpose behind the salt you're using, and when in doubt, keep magical salts separate from culinary ones. Use
Mm-hmm.
labels.
Yeah.
Salt is simple, yes, but in the hands of a mindful practitioner, it becomes profound. Whether it's lining your doorway, flavoring your dinner, or sealing an online spell, it holds the same power it always has: steady, sacred, and strong.
Yeah, there are two different kinds of black salt. I didn't know that
I don't know. I
because
didn't know that.
I actually made black salt and we'll talk about that in a little bit. I think I put my YouTube link for I made a video on the black salt. And there's a black culinary salt,
Oh,
and then there's the black salt that you would use for like banishing or like with the ashes of your
okay.
fireplace. That's how I took some I guess the charcoal from an old fire from our fire pit a couple summers ago, and I just took that and you just mash that up with your actual regular salt, and that makes the salt black,
Mhm.
the soot from the charcoal. And then I just added essential oils and rose petals and I think orange and clove. I made it for Samhain.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
That must
so
smell good.
oh my God, it smelled amazing. I sent some in like a little vial to all my patrons from the
Ooh,
Bohemian Magic at the
so
time,
witchy.
and it was a lot of fun to make. Yeah.
Did you send me one? I
I
feel
might
like I
have.
have a black salt from you.
I
I
might have
might have
sent
one.
you. Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about salt and evil magic. So let's just start with this though. Salt is not evil. I think there's this misconception or this idea floating around, probably fueled by pop culture or some kind of misunderstanding, that anything ritual related must be dark or dangerous. But salt, in its truest magical form, is a purifier, a protector, a stabilizer. It's used to ward off negativity, not summon it. If anything, it's one of the most neutral and benevolent tools you can work with. So you need some salt in your arsenal. And not all traditions use salt. That said, not every culture or path embraces salt in their rituals. Some indigenous or land-based practices avoid salt because of its drying, disruptive nature. It can interfere with the energy of plants, soil, or spirits tied to water sources. In some African traditional religions, for example, salt is seen as too harsh or incompatible with certain deities or rites. And the key takeaway here, salt isn't universal. It's powerful, yes, but not always appropriate. So know the tradition and know the why. And then some overuse warnings in beginner practice. Salt is everywhere in beginner witchcraft guides, salt circles, salt spells, salt baths. And while it's accessible and effective, there's a tendency to rely on it too much, or worse, to use it without purpose. Throwing salt around doesn't guarantee protection, like Allison from Hocus Pocus, the whole fucking tub of it. Magic isn't just ingredients, it's intention, context, and understanding. Use salt when it makes sense, when it supports your work, not just because it's on a checklist. Salt is simple, yes, but it's sacred. And like anything sacred, it deserves respect, not default status.
Before we wrap up, let's bring it back home to some real people, rituals, and the quiet ways salt shows up in everyday practice. Like I said, it's in the kitchen 100% of the time for me. And every single time I spill it on the table, of course, it's compulsory at this point. I do like to try to put some over my doorways when I think of it. I do have lots of animals, so I don't want them getting hurt. So I don't leave them in, the corner corners. I know some people will bless their corners. I think I have done once around the corners of my property. That's okay in small, manageable, doses so you don't kill your lawn.
Yeah.
And I don't have a bath. I would love a bath to use some Epsom salts in. So one day we're gonna add a second bath to the house.
Put it on
We
your
haven't got there yet.
vision board.
On my vision board, yes, yes, yes. A writer, Leah from Asheville, says that she keeps black salt in a tiny jar tucked in the pocket of her work apron. She works in a restaurant and is said to help her feel shielded from the chaos of the kitchen and customers, especially the ones who walk in with heavy energy. Food service is no fucking joke,
Yeah,
you know.
for sure.
So that's a great idea. Tasha in Ontario said that she learned from her grandmother to sprinkle salt in the corners of every new place she's lived to pin down the good and keep out the mess, as her grandma used to say. She still does it every time she moves. And Jordan and Houston had a clever one. They leave a small open jar of salt by the bed during nightmares. So maybe they have a salt there all the time. Not sure.
Yeah.
Then they pour it down the drain with a good riddance chant at the new moon. Love that.
Oh, it's like a dream catcher kind of.
Uh-huh. Then there's a weird one here. Looking at you, Caleb in Vermont. They bury a margarita glass rimmed with salt under the full moon to banish an ex. The whole thing was, quote, charged with a Taylor Swift song and sealed with lime. Did it work? They said yes, but honestly, I believe them. I believe Taylor Swift came through.
I wonder what song it was. It might have been Picture to Burn or
Could have been a million of her songs.
Nobody, No Crime if you're Sally and Jillian.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You know?
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. I also consider myself a kitchen witch. And sometimes you don't need a bunch of different kinds of fancy seasonings. Sometimes all you need are little, like I said before, a little olive oil, salt, little pepper. It does the trick every time. But aside from using salt in my cooking, I've also used it to make the salt dough I mentioned earlier. But I've also made plenty of different kinds of my homemade blends of salts. Some to use in self-care rituals, like my Epsom salts, like using salts in my bath. I've made salt scrubs, you name it. Some I just display on my altar though. Some I don't like actually use at all, like on my body or to ingest. I like to make salts to display or have in a little dish just on my altar as an offering.
It's intentional.
It is intentional. Or sometimes I just use it in spellwork for protection or banishing. I'll put some in a little sachet.
Yes.
Sprinkle a little in a witch jar or, whatever it is that I'm doing. But it's got so many uses and you could do so many things. But I do have tons of salt blend videos on my YouTube channel. I don't know what my obsession was with salts.
Did you realize at the time?
No, I would just be like, all right, I guess I'll do another salt video. Like, what?
But you're right, it's cheap and they're easy and it works and it's so versatile.
So easy. Yeah, so I think the first one that I did was a DIY lemon lavender rose bath salts. And I use this with my doTERRA essential oils and I put in lemon and lavender essential oil. And the smell that oh my God, is so invigorating. Like the lemon and the lavender. It's
so
invigorating,
good.
but also soothing like simultaneously. And then I put in little lavender buds and dried rose petal, and it's just really pretty just to even like have in a jar sitting in your bathroom,
It's very Justina, like it's aesthetically pleasing, but it
Yeah.
serves a purpose.
Right. I remember back when I was making these kinds of salts, I would put them in like little tiny vial jars, right? And me and Avi went on a road trip and we stayed at a couple different like Airbnbs and I would gift them to our host.
That's
As
nice.
like a little, we had booked it, I guess, as they were starting this up, and I think we were the first ones to sign the guest book, and it was
Wow.
so cool. It was really cool. She brought us to our room, and then she gave us like a little glass of wine, and she was like,
dang.
yeah, she was like, just don't get it on the carpet, and it'll be fine. And we came and went as we pleased. She had company in her backyard while we were like staying there.
Okay.
I was like, I feel like I'm like infringing, but like. It was fine. We had our own little private corner of the house. And then the morning that we left, she gave us a breakfast. She
nice.
She made us breakfast. She gave us grits and I think pecan pie and something else. I forget, but like a nice,
good.
like cute little country breakfast.
Yeah.
And she was on the lake, so she was like we're eating our breakfast, just like watching the water and the scenery, and it was
That's
so pretty.
romantic.
It was very pretty. Yeah, it was one of our most memorable stays at an Airbnb.
Good.
But yeah, I gave her a little vial of salt, and she was like, "Oh my God, thank you."
That's nice.
And then I also made some magical sea salt for my mermaid altar. I had a mermaid altar a while ago. I don't know why. Like, I have a book of sea magic here that I wanted to tell you about. Have you heard of this book?
No.
Yeah, this is by an author named Sandra Kynes, and she did a whole book on sea magic connecting with the ocean's energy. And I was like super into like mermaid magic at that time. And I was doing like a lot of mermaid craft projects and like magical little ideas. And the sea salt was one of them. I actually used food coloring for this one. So I don't use this in the bath. I don't use it on my body. It's just like a decorative salt that I have in a jar and like it smells amazing. I forget what I used. I used essential oils in it, but I can't remember what oils I used. But
It's
it
almost
smelled
like the act of creating it was its
yeah.
purpose, or is its
Yeah.
purpose. It
I think
added
I
to
still
your life.
have some in a jar back there on my apothecary cabinet. But
Mhm, mhm.
yeah, I had this altar up for a while. Like it was up for probably like longer than it should have been. I did
Okay.
it in like June or July for like mermaid. I consider July like mermaid month. And then I never took it down until probably the following fall. Like it was up all summer
Wow.
long.
You got a
Yeah.
mermaid thing.
I do.
You're vibing with the mer
I love
people.
my mermaid.
And then you had your mermaid smut.
Yeah, I think I read my mermaid's month. So yeah, that's also on my YouTube channel. And then, like I mentioned before, I made the witch's black salts, and I made that for Samhain one year. And that I just took the ash and soot from my fire pit, mixed it with some regular salts, and then I think I added like clove oil, orange peel, and like rose petals, maybe some cinnamon essential oils, and then just mix it up. And oh my God, it smells so good,
I want to make some
so
black
good.
salt.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you make bonfires all the time, right?
Yeah,
Just grab
we have a
some.
fireplace inside too that we could like I was thinking of your ritual with Avi where you burn the bay leaves,
Yeah.
throwing them in the fire could be a cool New Year's thing to
Hmm.
use those ashes that to protect your home,
Oh, I like that.
outside. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could protect yourself from burning your house down like me and Avi almost did.
Yeah,
We
those things are
did our
sparky.
bay leaf burning ritual.
That's
Um,
awesome. You do have a lot of videos. All of this is on Justina's Bohemian Magic YouTube. The
yeah.
videos are also linked in our show notes. You can find those over on our Patreon under
Mhm.
our $3 tier. Get them
Yeah,
for practically nothing.
there was a, passage in here that I wanted to read. This is on page 14 of the Sea Magic book by Sandra Kynes, Connecting with the Ocean's Energy. This passage is called The Salt of Wisdom. I think the first part of this passage we kind of covered in our history section that we read earlier, but this I didn't know. In the days of the Roman Empire, soldiers were given an allowance of salt called salarium, and this payment was eventually made in currency instead of salt. However, the word led to our word salary. That's where the word
Yeah.
salary came from. And traditionally in Ireland, Germany, and other countries, newlyweds were given a salt box with which to purify their home. The gift also symbolized the power of life. Like the ocean, salt has been revered for its mysterious qualities. Sal sapientia is Latin for salt of wisdom. Salt became symbolic of wisdom, insight, and understanding. The prophet Elisha noted in 2 Kings, "What is salt except heavenly wisdom? Salt has been used as a sacrament in baptism to cleanse and sanctify. Among medieval alchemists, the salt of wisdom, alum broth, was also known as philosopher's salt and was considered to have mystical properties when combined with sulfur. This substance was believed to be a step in the transmutation of base metals into gold. Alchemy. We've
Alchemy.
talked about the alchemy, right? And whoever knows the salt knows the secret of the ancient sages. Taking the esoteric meaning of alchemy, transmutation, we have the ability to transform from a lower ego-based self to a higher soulful. This is the basis of many meditative and spiritual practices. And according to Carl Jung, salt is a symbol for the self, as well as the human soul and the spark of anima mundi, the soul of the world. He also noted that the two outstanding properties of salt are bitterness and wisdom. Tears are bitter, but wisdom is the comforter in all psychic suffering. Salt, wisdom, and comfort are all attributes of Mother Ocean, provider and teacher.
That's really pretty.
So, right? I love this book. I did a whole what's it called? A review on this book, like a flip through on my
Mhm.
YouTube channel. And it also comes with like journal prompts and stuff, which is really cool.
Very neat. You'll have to put that video in here too.
Yeah, I'll pop all that in for anybody who's interested in looking at all that.
Well, since you brought out a book, let me do some
Yeah, if you have
Brassidia.
anything. Now it's show and tell time, so if you have
I have some Brassidia. She's got a
Ooh,
lot of things from salt and pepper, salt beef, salt cellar,
okay.
celdine, salt lick. So I'm just gonna do salt.
All
There's
right.
more. There's a whole nother page.
Yeah.
If you dream of salt, someone is very interested in marrying you. Be aware that this person's children are spoiled and will purposely nag you and destroy your private time.
Oh my God.
Special person for the purpose of breaking apart this union. You may choose to avoid this misery.
Oh my. Sounds like somebody needs a throat punch.
That is so specific.
She's always specific, though. It's
Yes.
so funny.
I think there's such a thing as a salt box house.
Oh yeah. Did we
Like
talk
in
about
New
that before?
England. No, we didn't talk about that style of home. I've seen it in New England. I
Okay.
don't know a whole lot about it, but that would be the only other thing I could think to add to this episode.
Right. I mean, I will link this book in the show notes if anybody wants to check this book out. It's like got so much cool stuff in here. And the whole book is sea magic, so I'm sure there's salt written throughout these pages,
Totally.
you know?
Yeah, yeah. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
There we
man.
go. Next week, what do we have? We're gonna do the air episode, and we're gonna be almost halfway through May.
Holy
We're looking
shit.
at the end of May here, but during that time, we're gonna be heading in out of Taurus season into Gemini season, and we have something very special ready for you. I'm excited to do this episode. It's gonna be fun.
Is that the roast?
The roast. I started having it do individual character roasts.
Oh,
But
shut the fuck up.
I think our first episode was under an hour.
Okay.
So I really think we could sit and listen through it and
Okay.
just pull the best parts out and like clip it together really fast.
Yeah, like we did the Sudbury episode.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for coming in again this week. New episodes every Friday. If you want to support the podcast, here's how.
You can support us for as little as $1 a month. That's our seedling tier, and that gets you access to our patron-only polls where you get to weigh in on what topics you would like us to talk about next. It also gets you our monthly calendar so you can see what topics we have coming up for the month, and it also gets you a welcome shout out on the show. Our $3 Lavender Bud tier gets you our show notes for each episode in an aesthetically pleasing PDF, our after hours posts, if there's any extra tidbits or behind the scenes info pertaining to any of our episodes, we'll post those along with a blog post or extra photos, and access to our specially curated Spotify playlists. We have created playlists for our WMSR episodes as well as Production Dream playlists for each song episode, and more. Our $5 Lilac tier gets you access to our private Facebook community where we host a monthly live stream. Plus, you'll get access to our Discord server where we host our monthly watch parties. And also on the Discord, you can join in on the discussion with other Magnolia Street neighbors via the various interesting channels and threads. And then here's the $8 Rose tier. This gets you access to extra audio visual content such as a once a month full-length video episode, unlimited bonus videos, uncut footage, cutting room floor footage, bloopers, outtakes, meditations, exclusive interviews, and old home videos from the vault, or spell or ritual videos, and more. It also gets you bonus content to coincide with our song-episodes, such as full-length demo streams of our original Practical Magic inspired music, plus lyric sheets, guitar chords, and original scratch demos, or bonus video performances of our songs and more. Lastly, we have our $15 Wisteria Vine tier. Just like a twisting Wisteria Vine, there's a way for you to stay connected with us, the Stinas. In this tier, we invite you to join our private Marco Polo video messaging app. The app is totally free for both Android and iOS. Sign up with your phone number or email, and we will help you do the rest. This is a great way to chat with each other in a more intimate group setting, face-to-face via video recording. We love to show each other our pets, our gardens, or anything else you'd like to share. And just a reminder that the higher the tier you sign up under, the more rewards you get, because you get all of the rewards of the tiers below it. You can upgrade or downgrade or even cancel at any time. So to support the podcast, head to patreon.com/Magnolia Street Podcast.
Yeah, and there are additional ways to support us and our podcast that don't cost you any money. If you do listen on Spotify, please give us a star rating. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please give us a written review. We love sharing those on our Instagram. And if you're on Instagram, we would really appreciate any reposts or blurbs about our podcast. And make sure to tag us at Magnolia Street Podcast in your feed, posts, stories, and share us with your Practical Magic loving friends. And if you want to email us, magnoliastreetpodcast@gmail.com. Keep up on all the Practical Magic 2 news popping out. Alice has our back. She's sending us stuff. We're really excited for this Practical Magic 2.
It is very exciting, a little overwhelming, because who knows what that's gonna mean for us if
It doesn't feel real. And secondly, anytime I see a TikToker like talking about Practical Magic 2, I get very possessive.
Oh my god, me too.
Like, that's our thing.
Me too.
Good.
We have issues. We need Some serious issues.
Like, why haven't you been following us? We know it all. We don't know it all.
Maybe we're Delulu. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe that
we'll live
makes
in
us
the Delulu
human.
for now.
But may our Delulu become Trululu.
May the Delulu be with you.
Wasn't it May 4th the other day?
It was, yeah. Today's the
May,
8th. Yeah,
may
yeah.
the 4th have been with you.
And also with you. Amen. I'm Christina.
I'm Justina.
We'll
We'll
see
see
you
you
next
next
time.
time.
At the house on Magnolia Street.